Crocine, the runes have like come up the same way again. You've thrown them like many times already today, and still there's no clarity, like no answer revealed. The skeins like remain blurred and hidden from your sight every time that you throw. The runes cancel each other out, and there's no like clear answer as you like sit in the forge and seek an answer from the gods. And your belt is like a little looser, and you've thrown up more than once in the last few weeks, and you're not the only one. And you think that if it weren't for your skills, you and like a great many more would be dead in the village. Yeah, so you're throwing these runes over and over again, looking for an answer, but nothing is forthcoming. There's like this sickness that has passed through the village, and you've noticed it. Um, that like a great many people have like begun coughing. Some of them coughing blood, others are like throwing up. And like definitely it like seems to be some sort of plague or something because it came so suddenly and unexpectedly for the last month or so. This has been the case.
So, can you hear me?
I can now.
Sorry. Thousand apologies. Imsigo, as he continues to throw these runes over and over in complete and utter desperation, he's taken to sleeping in the hearth, on a cold hearth in the Jarl's Hall, hoping that the dreams may give him the answers the runes have not yet. And as you say, he's done his best to maintain the health of these people, but he's feeling the effects himself.
As you're like sitting there and you're like picking up the runes once again and like incanting the words, and then you like throw and you see the same sort of like vague result that doesn't make any sense. You like shake your head and there's like a Galder. It's one of the local boys, and he like seems nervous to approach. The Jarl would like to speak with you.
He'll nod without turning around to the boy and one by one pick up the runes and put them back into the pouch, taking some of the dirt and ash that he's thrown them on top of with him, and with a slow defeat, he'll raise himself to his feet, following the boy who no doubt runs away from him.
He actually stands for a moment and like looks at you, and I'm sure like the tattoos and like the various like fetishes that you carry, he like looks at them. My mother said that if I had to speak with you, I should ask you to draw a rune on me. Can you do that, please? And he's like not looking at you, and he's like talking to the ground.
With a small smile, he'll bend down, take some of this ash and dirt and his fingers, and he'll lift the boy's head up so that he can actually look him in the eye while he draws a protective rune on him.
You see that he like after you're done, he'll like put his shoulders back and he'll like stand a little straighter. I'm protected now.
You are protected by magics and the gods.
His eyes kind of widen at that, and then he like smiles and nods. Thank you, and he'll begin to like lead you towards the Jarl's Hall. Baron, you've just come back from a hunt, and you're like carrying a brace of rabbits with you. It was a strange hunt. You saw like a few things that didn't make sense to you, but one particularly weird thing, as you like were picking up one of the rabbits that you had caught, you like looked up and saw a deer that was like standing perfectly still and like didn't flee when you looked at it or even when you stood. In fact, it like lowered its head and like ran at you, and you like moved out of the way and it didn't hit you and ran past you. Um, but it wasn't like a stag, and it wasn't. It was just like a doe with this like strange behavior.
Very puzzled. I come walking in with this brace of conies, kind of slung over some a long stick, all tied up by its feet, still kind of shaking off the thought of this strange behaviour of the doe. I've been on quite a few hunts, and I know the lands pretty well, and I've never seen this particular deer or any deer act anywhere near like this. Baron has a cloth pulled up over his nose, over his mouth, trying to be as careful not to catch any infection, disease from anything that might be going on in the small homesteads.
As you're like walking back into town, you pass by Jormund's farm, and he like smiles as you walk by and waves you down. Successful, it seems. And he's like reaching around behind him, and he pulls out like this little cloth with like a loaf of bread. They like hand to you and expect a rabbit in return. This is like something that you do every couple of days. He like hands you a couple of loaves of bread.
Yeah, Baron would lower the cloth from his mouth to speak to him and thank him very much for this. And he would just ask, how goes the day? Has there been any more news on what's been happening around here? There seems to be more and more strange behaviour going on these days.
Not so bad. I had to put down my goat. And he'll like look behind him, and you'll see it like stretched upon the rack, though it hasn't been like butchered yet. Fucker wouldn't stop screaming. Attacked my girl. Broke her nose.
And that's exactly the strange behaviour I'm talking about, my friend. I've seen one or two similar things in the woods not long ago. A doe lowered its head, charged at me. No particular reason. Wasn't even scared of me. I'm worried about the turn of events. I'm not sure what we've done to anger the gods recently, but hopefully someone can find out.
He'll like reach up to his amulet and grip like the Thor's hammer there at mention of like a curse of the gods. The Jarl wants to speak with you. He told me it came down from up on high.
Many thanks. I shall head that way as soon as I've dispersed these rabbits, and then head there immediately. Many thanks, my friend. Good day to you. And he would hold an amulet of Odin, which he has, and kind of under his breath hope that there is no curse by the gods.
Horst, you've been privy to like much of the Jarl's tribulations over the last month. You've been like standing by his hide when you've like heard reports of sick animals, rabid animals. You know of like 3 farmers that were killed by a horse that went insane and like rampaged. And you know that like the sickness has spread and it's caused like bloody coughs and shaky hands. And you also know of the child that was born, stillborn, just about a week ago. And like every day, more farmers come and like tell strange stories of things that are happening. While the Jarl, with like a shaky hand and a bloody cough, like tries to remain strong, he like coughs into the crook of his elbow. And each time there is blood there as he like brings his elbow back down. He's like trying to keep it together and like remain looking strong while all this goes on around him. And he's clearly very ill.
My lord, forgive me. Something must be done. Call for the Galder to cast the runes again. I'll send more men out with the Ferdganger, but something. He looks around at so many vacant places in the hold.
I think like when you say call for the Galder, that's when like the doors would like open with like impeccable sort of sorceress timing. He would arrive. It's the kind of thing that he does a lot. It's the kind of thing that like his kind do a lot. They arrive exactly at the right time or whenever they're mentioned, it seems. And the Jarl would nod. He has cast them many times. I do not know what good it will do. I do have an idea. I have called for him and for Baron. And he'll look up. Hail, Crocine, come and join us.
Doran, bring the men meat and food. Have places set.
Amsica will draw up and kneel down, sit down, and he'll probably give a small smirk as if reading Hork's and our thoughts about his impeccable timing, even as he kind of goes back to the dour face as he partakes of the food that's been offered to him.
Baron, you would arrive not long after and find a seat, and the Jarl would speak quietly to the three of you, and he would say, "I don't like to do it, but clearly we have angered the gods. Something must be done, and we have given sacrifice, but I think it must be a greater sacrifice, one that is not common here. You know of which I speak, Crocine."
Aye, I do.
The stone of Freyja, a few days south. A sacred place. Maybe if we make the appropriate sacrifice, you will lift this plague.
Free were the hardships that Odin did endure upon the world tree in order to gain knowledge of the runes. The runes have been blind to me thus far. Free were the gifts, the prizes, and the treasures of Freyja. Free were the gifts we should deliver. Free are those that should deliver them. Free attempts to make a robe strong enough to hold Fenris Wolf to his rock.
The Jarl is nodding. Yes, it must be 3. It must be 3. You're right. Yeah, we could do a lottery for the thralls, or if you have suggestions on which ones. And he'll look to you, Horst, thinking.
He'd look to the Galder and defer to him. Perhaps the stronger, more vital of the thralls. I could not say, Lord. And he'll look to Crocine.
Aye, the strongest. And those that we can bleed vitality from. The greater the gift, the greater the sacrifice.
Baron would kind of look almost horrified at the fact that they're about to sacrifice thralls, although he knows this thing is done. Him in his heart knowing that he was once a thrall, and that even thralls are human beings, and he would certainly be maybe start having a bit of a cold sweat bead on his brow.
It would have to be Bolveg. And you would all know Bolveg is an Iskloft thrall. He was a reaver who was captured. He's been doing hard labor and difficult sort of tasks like that for about 2 years here in the village. I think Hildy. Hildy's a woman in her 20s. She was charged with adultery and rather than outlawry was made a thrall. And she's healthy and is a popular sort of distraction for many of the warriors who live here. And Harold, who's a boy, maybe 16, he was convicted of outlawry, but instead of being sent away as well, he was kept as a thrall. That seems to be the custom here, much more than sending outlaws away and branding them, is putting them to work. And he would suggest those 3.
The boy, my all, but he's still young. He can still he can still make up for his crime. Surely there should be a second chance for all that have committed crimes.
A greater gift is a life unlived, more to lose. Freyja may see it that way. He would shrug, though he's not sure, and he would look to the Galder.
He'll nod at the Jarl's words. It's exactly how you say.
To give old, sickly thralls to Freyja is no sacrifice at all.
As you and the crow scene say, my Jarl.
Good. Then I will have them made ready, and I'll provision you how you need. It is a few days south to the Freyja Stone. You probably would have been there before, Baron. It's like a journey through the forest, directly south to the cliffs that lead to the coast. It's like an old statue of Freyja.
How difficult do I think it would be to make the trip?
Well provisioned and with the people with you, you don't think particularly dangerous or difficult. It's just thick forest for a lot of it. There are wolves and things and bears in the forest, but they don't tend to hassle armed groups of men.
Okay. Baron would turn and relay that information to everyone. And I would ask, Baron would say, how's best for us to transport the thralls? Are we going to have them tied, or are we going to have them travel there under some pretense of them helping us carry equipment, maybe some sort of other sacrifice, until we get there and we kind of deceive them?
The Jarl would shrug and look to Horst, this would be his kind of work.
The beast that doesn't see the blade often yields the best omens, in my experience. But I think such is the dire need, and an offering to Freyja should not be cursed with lies. Though who can truly know of the gods, but the gods sworn, and he'll look to the Galder. He knows what he would do if this was another type of quest or missive, but the religious nature is not so familiar with it.
What day would be the best for us to arrive at Freyja Stone?
Friar's Dark.
Yep, Friday is Freyja's day, and so that would be the best day to sacrifice to her.
And how many days would we have left to get there on that day?
Well, it depends. You can leave when in good time, so you could leave yourselves 4 days, despite it being usually a 3-day journey, if you wanted to.
Yeah, Baron would certainly suggest that. In the back of his mind, he would have the concerns over the strange animal behaviour. So some extra time to maybe skirt around some possible dangers would definitely be on his mind.
I leave it in your hands then, and go with my blessing, and you must make her listen. She must be appeased, or I fear what will happen to this place.
Lord, allow me to go with the God sworn and Furtganger. I would see this thing done and report back to you.
Of course, yes. Best that you do.
Might I take my apprentice? It's time she should learn of these things.
He looks to the girl for a moment and then back to you. She is your apprentice. And he nods.
He looks to Crowseed and says, Imiskul, I'm at your service.
I think he would try to cast the runes one more time. As this discussion has been going on, I imagine the answers are still unclear.
Yeah, it seems like no matter what you do, you get like contradictory runes that like point to nothing. So you'll get like a journey, but then also like a hard stop, and it's sort of hard to imagine what that means. Like usually the runes are not so vague.
He'll give a nod at that and then a nod to Horst. And he'll say to him, as far as the thralls are concerned, it does not matter if they know right now of their eventual fate. So I defer to your judgment on how best to proceed in transporting them.
Baron, can we take horses by a route you might know to the Freyja Stone?
Lloyd, would I know if I could take horses?
You could. Generally, like forest isn't great country for horses, but you definitely could like bring them through. It wouldn't be so much quicker than walking, but they would be able to carry your things and yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, if that's the... Oh, sorry, you go.
Yeah, I was going to say, Baron would relay. Maybe it may be better and more, just as quick, just to take a pack horse, possibly. With maybe, again, I agree that maybe we don't want to make the sacrifice under the pretense of a lie, but getting 3 thralls there will not be very easy over the next couple of days.
Yeah, if we have a pack horse, we could bind them, like beat them and bind them to the horses, and then we lead them to the Freyja Stone.
That would be my suggestion, certainly.
Yeah, if Crowseen would like not have any objections, that would be what Horst would, how he would want to proceed.
I think Crowseen's only thing of note that he would mention was not to beat them into a state where they're weakened, to keep them at strength for when the sacrifice is ready.
Then tonight, when they're relieved of their work and go to their quarters, have soldiers seize them, bind them, lash them to the horses, and set out with Baron scouting the land ahead of us.
I know many routes that can get us there quickly or safely, whichever is best at the time. We should arrive there at a nice leisurely pace if we need to.
As you're like talking, someone like a man like bursts into the hall. Lord, Lord! You recognize it's a farmer. Halder is his name, and he like looks aghast, like he's sweaty, like he's run all the way from his farm. And the Jarl like looks up. What is the meaning of this? And he's just like losing it. My prize bull, Hurstlig, he's gone insane. And he's like trying to catch his breath. He's killed. I need help, Lord.
Baron, go!
By your leave, sir, I will help. And Baron would get up and start dashing out the hall as fast as possible to follow this farmer back to his farm.
Yeah, he like is appreciative for any help, and he starts to move immediately.
I look to Crowseen, calling for Thorin to like gather my war gear and see what he will do.
He's going to rise to investigate. Whilst your gear has been seen to, you'll see him in the hall, hefting a spear, testing the weight of it, and then making towards the door.
Beren would be trying to gather more information out of the farmer as we headed swiftly back to the farm and where the bull is. I'd probably have grabbed my bow, which would probably be outside the hall, and my quiver on the way in case I need to put this bull down. But I'll be trying to ask information. What? Tell me what happened. How did this happen?
I don't know. He couldn't be calmed. He killed one of the cows in the enclosure, and I ran. I don't know how long he'll stay within the enclosure.
Very well. I may need to put this bull down. I'm sorry, but more animals like this have been acting very strangely and hurting. It seems to be a madness on not just the land, but on the animals as well. And Beren would try to get in front and head off as quick as possible to kind of dash away from him.
Yep, you could easily outpace the man and like run to his farm. A couple of minutes later, you'd like skid to a halt as you like see the sight before you. You can see that like on top of the house, his family, like his wife and 3 children, have like climbed on top of the house. And you can see that in the courtyard there are 2 dead dogs, 4 dead goats, and like beyond in the enclosure that there is a dead cow there. And this bull, this like big black bull, is just like smashing his head against the wall of the house and like charging into it, just like poof, and then like runs back and then like paws the ground and then poof again. Not at all normal behavior.
Beren would keep about maybe 90 feet distance, something like that, a good distance away as I see this happening. And seeing how manic this bull is, I would knock my first arrow and try to shoot it.
Okay, go for it.
That's an 18 all up, 10 on the die.
Yep, that'll hit.
And it wasn't a lot of damage, so I imagine as I fire it, it sinks into probably its rind hum, causing 5 damage.
You hear this like from the thing as it like searches for the sign of what had done it, but it's too crazed and just like rushes again.
Yeah,
you can see
I would knock another one if I can.
Yep.
And try and put this thing down as quickly as I can. Oh, that's a 17 on the die that time.
Yep, that'll hit as well.
Yep. And that's much better. 11 damage. So this time it's up near around its neck, trying to aim for its jugular, as if I was trying to cut its neck, cut its throat to bleed it out.
Now it turns and like looks and paws at the ground in your direction, and you feel very small as it like turns to look and it begins to run in your direction. I'm going to need a initiative roll from you, please.
Yeah.
And from the other 2, if you're mounted, you'd arrive at the start of next round, Horst.
10 and 2. That is 12, my initiative roll is. Lloyd, I get for the marksman, I reduce something speed by 10 feet for 1 minute on my first attack.
Okay, yeah, nice. So maybe like you've like hurt one of its muscles in one of the legs.
Yeah, in its hind rump, I'm guessing. And I get an increase of speed as well, also by 10 feet. So, what else do I also get with this marksman? So, I get to move half my speed as a reaction to initiative.
Yep. Okay. So you want to move away, I imagine.
Yeah, I'm also again. I was already probably, like I said, about 90 feet away.
Yeah.
So I'll move another 20 feet back. So I'm probably like 110 feet away from it. And again, I got a 12 on my initiative. So.
Okay. So it is like snorting and like pawing at the ground. It begins to like barrel in your direction. It'll dash. It'll take It's -10, so it'll take it 100 feet. So whew, that's close. It'll just like, boom, boom, and you can like see or like feel rather the ground shaking as this like massive bull barrels towards you, and you can see like the huge clouds of dust that it kicks up, and hear the screams of like the family atop the house who are like, run, run, as it's like bearing down upon you, but it won't be able to reach you this round.
Yeah. Can I see any obstacles around me? A fence, a hedge, anything that I could possibly...
Yes. So, yep. So you're like, if you imagine you're on like a sort of slightly raised road, like a path that's been slightly raised up, and like if you're looking at straight at the house, there's like a farmhouse and like a big courtyard, and behind is like where the enclosure was, which has been ruined. But on the other side of you, there's also like a house with a similar sort of setup. And beyond that, there would be like hedgerows and things on either side of the road, I imagine. Yeah, that kind of thing. There would be trees like not too far, like one or two along the side of the road as well.
Yeah, anything that's maybe 40 feet?
Yeah, so from 40 feet, you could get to like the courtyard of the other house. You could like leap a fence, which is like not too difficult for you. You don't think the fence would like stop this thing, but it might slow it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna head that way. Leap the fence if I can, and I'm gonna take the dodge action.
Okay. Yep.
I've still got my bow. I haven't got a shield or my helm, or anything. But yeah, I'm gonna take the dodge action.
Okay. So Horst and Imisgul, you're like both moving as quickly as you can towards this place. You might even be able at this stage to like hear the like screams of this bull in the distance, and like only guess at like the scene of carnage. But you will arrive next round. Okay, Hrosklig will continue its like insane charge. It's going to run towards you. It's going to try and smash through that fence. Yeah, which it does without issue. But it does slow it pretty significantly. So it'll move 50 because it's slowed, and then I'll say another 10 from smashing the fence. So it'll move 40 feet. And you moved 40, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, once again, like just barely keeping ahead of this thing. As it's like barreling down towards you. You can see now as it like gets closer, it has this like crust around its eyes, like sort of like when you see like a sick cat. This like strange sort of like seeping, like its eyes are like somehow infected, or and it just seems like it's done a lot of damage to itself. You can see like it's bleeding from where the horns are and things like that. Like it's obviously damaged itself as it like rushes towards you, but it's not going to be able to reach you this turn, and then it's your turn.
Okay, is there anywhere where I can see from where I am? Again, I'm looking maybe 40 feet of movement to kind of, again, find another barrier for me to put between it. But at the same time, I want to try and maybe lead it away from other people, maybe away from the town, the village. Can I see any of that?
So behind you now is the other house, like almost identical to the house where Jormund's family were.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you like keep going in the way you're going, you'll like get to their house. You might be able to jump onto the roof. Like there would be like a bench outside for like people to sit on and work. You might be able to jump up there, but it would be like an action to make an athletics check. And that you think would send the bull smashing into the house like it was doing to the other one.
Yeah. Okay.
Other than that, like if you like turned in either direction, there's just like sort of farmland. There's not a huge amount of cover around here because it's like farmland, you know?
Okay, so is this ball the other side of the fence with me now?
Yes, it smashed through the fence.
Okay, so could I then jump back over the fence as a barrier to, again, just slow it down enough if I need to?
Yeah, so like run around it and towards the fence.
Yeah.
Yep, I think that's reasonable. Like it's got such forward momentum that it's not going to be able to turn very quickly. And you're kind of waiting for it. And as it comes close, you can like leap to the side and like run back in the direction that you'd come.
Yeah, that's excellent. I'm not going to take the dodge action this time. I'm going to try and trip it and make it prone.
Okay.
And try probably aim for one of its 4 legs, maybe a knee or something like that, a knee joint.
Cool.
That's a 13 on the die, 8 to hit.
Yep.
Plus 8, yeah. And that uses 2 of my archery marksman points.
Okay. And does it have to make a save or anything?
It has to make a strength save.
Okay.
It is 4 plus, so it's 8 plus my proficiency 2, so 14.
It gets a crit on that. It will not be slowed. It's like you shoot it and you think like that is a shot that if this bull wasn't insane would definitely have put it down. And you can see that even as it's running, like that there's like a sort of buckling that's happening with that leg, but it doesn't seem to stop it. And it continues rushing towards you. Horse, you are galloping towards this scene, and you can see Baron like leap over a fence and back up onto the road, and you can see this like massive black bull that like trying to like do a really quick turn and run back towards him.
Sorry, that was another 5 points of damage to it.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. No worries.
How far would I be from Baron? How far from the bull?
I'd say 60 from Baron, probably, when you would like realize what's going on. And the bull is 40 from him, so but it's like if you're looking at it, he's directly in front of you, and the bull is like 40 feet, like right angle from him to you, you know?
Do I know if Baron can ride?
Ride a horse? I'd be certain. I don't think there's many people who wouldn't know how. Of like this kind of station, you know? Do you think you can ride a horse, Baron?
I actually haven't got the animal handling. So look at the die, I guess.
Well, maybe not, like because you're a thrall, you might never have had the chance.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking that I would be able to ride.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to ride up next to you and being like a bigger and louder target for the bull, hopefully, and use my action to do a tactical read and give allies within 10 feet of me, so Baron, resistance to, and I'll choose piercing damage, obviously, for this. So you also have, if you're within 30 feet of me, take 3 less damage, so you'll have resistance and 3 less in the case of piercing. And just 3 less for other damage types.
I might need
and I'll just like wheel about on the horse, yeah, like waving my shield and sword at the bull to try and, if it's going to continue its charge, to go for me rather than Baron.
Baron would definitely be shouting, "We must bring it down! We must bring it down! It is maddened. It is crazed. We must bring it down."
As you're like bellowing that, Imiskull, you'd like come upon the scene as well and see the two of them like now pretty close together, and the bull, like which is turned around, is now like pawing at the ground, obviously about to charge.
So I'm guessing he's about 100 foot away from this scene, give or take.
Are you mounted up as well, or no?
No, he wouldn't be. So
okay, yeah. So you're probably 100 from where they are.
Okay. He's going to continue striding forward. He's going to use dash action to get him closer, see what's going on, and that'll be him.
Yep, you would see like the same signs in Harslig, the prize bull that you would have seen in other animals over the last few weeks. This like strange like infection that seems to like create like a gunk in their eye and like inure them to like harm, like they seem to just like hurt themselves and like have this unusual aggression. So you would notice that the bull is going to snort and run and try and smash you to bits. I'm actually going to roll a dice because I don't think the bull is thinking straight. You are bigger now at this stage, but okay, no, it will be you, horse, that it like gallops towards, and your horse. So it'll be through the fence. Yeah, it'll be able to get there now this time, I think. It's going to try and attack. Okay, it's going to be a 16. I guess
Yeah,
it's
wheel the horse about and it passes. That's a miss.
Yep. So it'll just like the horse is like losing it, like obviously very afraid, but you're able to like control it and like wheel it out of the way. And the thing, you can feel like the shake of the earth as it goes by, and it'll like run past and begin to wheel again. Baron.
One thing I missed out on was making this my quarry. So yeah, I'm gonna use a bonus action to make this my quarry, so I get to add some extra damage to it.
Cool.
Yeah. So again, I would move 40 feet to try and keep this overall distance from this thing, so it can't get to me and attack if possible. And again, I would shoot it with another arrow. I'm going to use pin this time, which is one of my marksman points, and this is going to reduce its speed to 0.
Nice.
And that's a 7 on the die, but that's a +8, so 15.
That hits.
Oh, and then the damage, decent damage, so 9 points of damage as I try and shoot it through its front leg and kind of pin it into the ground if possible.
Does it make a save?
It's a strength save again.
Yeah, once again, I mean, it's particularly good at strength saves. Yeah. I think it's a 19 total.
Yeah, needed 14, so.
So again, you see the arrow like go through just above its hoof and like into the ground even, though it seems to just like pick it up and like continue pawing at the ground with the arrow in it. Okay, is that it for you, Baron?
Yeah, that was it. Oh, actually, I'll get my D6 now as well. That's 4 on my quarry as well, okay. So that was 13 points altogether.
Okay. Very nice. Horst.
I'm going to delay till after Immerskill.
Okay. Immerskill.
Yeah, Immerskill, now he's run forwards. He'll skip to a halt, he'll lick his finger and kneel down and draw a rune in the dirt. He's casting Isaz. Is that how you say it?
Yep.
It's a wisdom saving throw or a paralyzation.
Glory.
13.
Yeah. So it fails.
Excellent. It can make a save at the end of its turns. And yeah, I think that's it.
So you like kneel in the dirt and draw this the sign, and like as if frozen in place, the bull's like movements get slower and then just stop. Okay, Horst.
I'll charge the paralyzed bull.
Excellent.
I'm going to ride up and angle my horse so I'm riding past its head and try and chop down behind the horns and to the back of its spine.
Okay. So it's paralyzed, so you have advantage, and if it's a hit, it's a auto crit.
Oh, well, I got a 19 on one of the die, so 20 plus to hit.
Yeah, so it's an automatic crit because it's paralyzed. So,
oh, good God.
Damage, please, and then the D20 and D12. But you said the
16.
head, these are just a D20.
16 damage, and the D20 is a 14.
Okay. 16. Actually, that might be enough. Hang on a second. Not quite. Head. 14. Okay, so you like try and slash behind the horns, but like slash sort of from the back of the head into the front, and you like destroy one of its eyes. It loses an eye. It suffers a -2 to its charisma score. But yeah,
actually, that's pretty bad for a prize bull.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so you like brutalize it and like slash at it. And it seems like the blood is just pouring out onto the ground.
I'll stay in melee with it rather than ride away and let it charge me.
Okay.
Just like hacking down repetitively, but yeah, I can't do anything else for the rest of my turn, so that's it for me for now. But yeah, anyone within 10 feet gets those buffs, and 30 feet gets 3 less damage.
Nice. And then it's Rostlig. He makes a save. He succeeds, but it's the end of his turn, right?
End of his turn, yeah.
Okay. Yep. So you'll see like that it's just breathing this like way too fast for a bull to be breathing. And like you can see that it begins to like shake and its muscles are like twitching and like writhing. And then like right before Baron moves, you see it like begin to move. But Baron, you're next.
Yeah, trying to gauge the distance to make sure it can't get to me and kill me. So like, trying to stay about maybe 45 feet away from it. About 55 feet away from it. I'm going to take another shot, try and put this beast down if I can. It needs putting out of its misery. 18 on the die.
Yep, that'll hit. And that'll definitely kill it. It's only got 4 hit points left.
Yeah, 9 altogether.
The arrow like maybe just catches it like in the one of the arteries in the throat, and like it bleeds out in seconds. Just this hits the ground.
Baron breathing heavily himself after the sudden exertion of sprinting around, trying to avoid this bull, would start moving towards the bull. I don't think I would have any sort of knife or dagger on me because I've literally sprinted out of the long hall and only grabbed my bow. But I'd maybe try and grab one off Horst and just slit its throat just to make sure finish it off completely.
I keep a cold iron dagger actually, so I'll hand that over unless Immerskill has anything to say.
I don't think it'd be get out of the way to just slit the bill's throat with it, Lloyd. It wouldn't.
No, I think that's fine. It makes sense.
Cool.
Yeah. So Baron would definitely go up and put this animal out of its misery. Understanding, I'd probably put my hand over its eye, its one good eye, and try and like calm it before I do so. But yeah, I would definitely put it out of its misery.
Yeah, you can do so, and it'll like stop moving. The farmer will like rush to its side and like put a hand on its chest, like shaking his head, like no. But then he'll like rush to his family and like help them down off the roof, and they'll like look at the destruction around. 2 dead dogs and some goats, as well as like a cow. This family looks ruined now after this. But he's just like glad that his family are okay, and he like thanks all of you like a million times.
While it's now that it's dead and it's all over, would I be able to make some sort of check on this animal to see what was wrong with it? If there's anything, any sort of check to see what was different about it?
Yeah, you could make me like a wound wise check if you have that.
I do have that. It's +5, 17 all up. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I think Lloyd's just dropped.
Oops, sorry, I dropped out of the call there.
Yeah, that was it's 12 on the die, 17 all up.
Okay, yeah. So like looking at it and like looking at the gunk around the eye, and like you think it must be like related to the sickness that the people have around here, but like it's not like a sickness that you recognize. It's not like the chill that sets in when winter comes and like people get the sniffles. It's nothing like that, nor is it like any sort of like bovine sickness that you would expect.
I would look up at Horst on his horse and say, oh, this madness, we've got to end it. We must leave soon. We can't have more than this. This is the third incident of such behaviours by animals now. If it happens to any local wolves, bears, it will go too far. We must end this.
Have any horses been stricken by this madness?
Yeah, there was one horse that went mad like 2 weeks ago and killed 3 men.
That would be ideal if like a horse ran away with one of our thralls for Freyja, maddened, or like attacks us just before we get there. So maybe we shouldn't take the horses. Maybe we should drag the thralls. You said we can reach the stone comfortably by Friday, even if we go by foot, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
sorry.
the horses wouldn't make it much quicker through the forest, I would say.
Just easier.
Just
for carrying.
easier. Yep.
Yeah.
Beren would say, I can forage for food and supplies while we're out in the woods. I know the woods pretty well. I can hunt as long as there's no more crazed. If all the beasts are crazed, but I would suggest we leave as soon as possible to get this deed done. Although I'm still not sure if dragging 3 thralls with just the 3 of us is maybe the best idea.
A horse is an easy thing to kill. We'll take mules or donkeys to bring the thralls. They're even easier to kill than horses. Maybe they'll be stubborn against this madness. What say you to that, Baron?
That would make a lot more sense. I can't see anything wrong with that.
I think by my position with the Jarl Jarnőrr as advisor, I'd be able to just organise that, Lloyd, and get that underway within an hour or two.
For sure. Yep.
I'd say to the farmer, do you have family to stay with this night to take your kin to?
Yes, we do.
He'll fish around in his purse and take out 19 hack silver and hand it over to them. Believe us, Jarl Jarnőrr, he works to end this blight. You'll see your family through this, Odin willing.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you. And he'll look at the silver, and he can't help but look at the destruction of his farm. But then looks at you and again says, "Thank you."
Beren would just slink up alongside Horst and say, "What of the other animals? If more animals go crazed, we're not going to be here to put them down. May the Jarl put something out to tie up the animals."
What time of year is it, Lord?
It's spring.
Spring. Is there, I got asked Imiskill, is there some kind of blot or sacrifice that could be ordained so that we can just sacrifice heaps of any animals that could be threats? Bulls, stallions, any domesticated animal that could, if it was seized with madness, easily kill people or cause destruction?
You'd know that there is a blot in spring, but it's probably a little bit early. It's just early spring. There is a fertility blot that happens, and it's usual there to sacrifice, like you say, big male animals. But it would be early to do it.
I think with the failed blot that's already happened, Imsigo might be reluctant to sacrifice anything for luck or anything to that effect.
We don't need any more bad omens.
Yep.
Could I just give that command or get the Jarl to concede that it might be best to have his stallions and bulls put down?
Yep, I think that's reasonable. If the Jarl says, "Everybody kill your big male animals," they'll just do it. There might be some "Oh, but that's my prize stallion," or whatever else. But given the circumstances, I think people could be convinced.
Yeah, if the tail of the farmer spreads, which I imagine it would, it's crazy. It spread like wildfire, so it might be easier for them to go, well, maybe that's better than having my family attacked by this massive beast. So yeah, we'll try and get that done. I guess it means in the spring blot we'll have to source those things, source vital male animals for the blot. But that's a problem that we can do down the track, not right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, under no religious pretense, just give a command of wholesale butchery of stallions and bulls and things of that nature, and have what men aren't sickly see to that while we make haste to head south to the Freyja stone.
Okay. So you gather the 3 thralls and the mules and a couple of supplies and things like that, and prepare to head out into the forest. And as you're like leaving, you can see like preparations being made and like animals being brought out to be slaughtered, to avoid any sort of like, there are aurochs and stuff in the village as well. And if one of those went, it could be very destructive. And so people like begin to gather their large male animals and sacrifice them, or rather slaughter them. So you begin your journey heading south along the road that leads to the woods. This is like a road that you would know very well, Baron. It's one you take probably daily. The thralls with you, Bolveg, he's like in his 40s. He's like a pretty big man with black hair and beard. He's like bigger now than when he was a reaver. He's like been fed better here than he would have been in his days of piracy and theft. He's got these tattoos all over him, which you would expect of an Iskolfin. He's obviously a warrior once. He's like tied behind one of the mules, and he like doesn't say anything, but like everything about Bolveg, and since you've known him, his whole atmosphere is one of resistance. Like he does what he has to do, but no more. He is not helpful, and he's frequently has to like be like beaten or like put back in place. He is like in no way broken despite 2 years of thraldom. Hildy is very confused by this, and she's like obviously upset. She's been crying. She's beautiful and like very charming, but for now upset and afraid. And Harold, similarly, like quite upset, and like he initially would have been like pleading that like he's been good in the years since like his crime, and he's like really tried, and he would have like made those sort of pleas, but they would have fallen on deaf ears. For the good of the many, these three must die. And so you lead them towards the forest.
Yeah, I think Beren would try and be away from the group while leading them. So he would, he would go off, scout in front a little bit, come back to the group, say, carry on this path, and then he would lead back out again. And he would constantly be coming backwards and forwards. He doesn't want to be around this group. Being a former thrall himself, he although he doesn't have any ties to these three in particular, it's just reminding him that he could have quite easily have been sacrificed like this, and so he doesn't want to look at them in the eye.
Yeah, I guess just for a twist of fate, it could have been you, and that would be like strong in your mind, I think, as you like wander along the path and then quickly off the path into the woods themselves.
Yeah, and definitely one of the reasons why I didn't want them finding out that what they were going to be done with at the Freyja Stone was because of Bolveg, knowing how difficult he could be. So yeah, he was definitely one of the reasons. So I'd also be wanting to try and keep an eye on him also as much as anyone else.
Yeah. Okay. So you begin to wander into the forest. It's like a thick, deciduous forest with like all this like undergrowth and but it's green and like very, very verdant at this time of year, and it's pretty pleasant as a walk goes. Like it's not particularly brutal weather, or like a spring is coming in, and so it's like crisp but clear, and the sun like filters down through the canopy in like a very pleasing sort of way. And as you like wander for the best part of the day, Harold will just keep talking. Please, Lord, I've been good since well, I just stole a knife, Lord. I had to eat. I was abandoned and I had to eat. I haven't been good since. I haven't made any crimes. I've been good and I've done what I've been told. Someone else.
Jarl Jarnőr named you, Harold. You're named, so you'll go to the Freyja Stone.
But I've been good, Lord. I've scoured your mail more than once.
You've been good, Harold, worthy of release, of freedom and the Jarnőr. But the Norns are twisted, and we cannot know their ways, and your fate is inescapable.
Bolveg just like watches quietly and like grunts at that. It doesn't speak. Hildy also hasn't really spoken much at all today, seemingly like resigned and terrified. But Harold would just keep talking the whole way, like begging basically all day. And like that evening, you can make camp and like get comfortable-ish. It's pretty nice in this wood. It's not like wet or rainy at least. And with Baron's help, you can easily make like a pretty comfortable camp around like a nice fire. And Baron, you'd be able to catch something without too much issue. As you are going about that process to like catch something to eat, actually, would you? It's the first day. You probably would just take stuff from home. Would make more sense. So you can like chew on the kind of thing that you had brought with you, dried meats and salted fish and things like that, cheese and bread. As you like sit around the fire at night, what are you doing with the thralls? Are you keeping them tied to the mules?
No, going to tie them to trees, separate trees, and I think Bolvig will tie him up, arms strung up against the tree, so that even if by somehow he does get free, his like arms will be useless for a good time.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, and have the mules tethered nearby, but not close to the three prisoners, so that if they move, like the mules might whinnick or make noise when they come into their midst. And we'll set a watch so that someone at least is always up to wake the next over them. And I guess gag them if they speak. Probably Harold first as an example to the others, because we'll need our rest. We don't want them to exhaust us from their muling.
Okay. Yep.
Thorin would do the menial tasks of the camp so that we can be as like quiescent as possible with like observing the prisoners and like, you know, keeping a strong hold of them.
Yeah, that makes sense. So she would like go around the process of the cooking and like cleaning all the things and that sort of business. Yeah, and like there's nothing between the three of you like keeping watch. There's nothing that like happens. The thralls, like you think Bolvig definitely has thought about it, but like by the time that he's like gagged and tied up, he seems resigned, at least that he's not going anywhere. Harold, after he is gagged, will occasionally like just look at you sort of pleadingly, but he won't speak anymore, which maybe gives you some sort of pause, at least some sort of break from the non-stop. And you can sleep in shifts comfortably enough and awake the next day and like get prepared. Transfer the thralls back to the mules and head off once again. It would be that day as you're wandering. Baron, can you make me a world-wise check?
Yeah, I don't have world-wise, but that goes off wisdom, doesn't it?
Yep.
It's only a 6. I've got
okay.
3 on the die.
So you would, I guess you would see some small signs here and there of like boar tracks, even with like a very poor gaze and like not too much tracking. You would see like sort of chaotic boar tracks, like not the way that you would expect as you like wander that day.
Sorry, is world-wise survival?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do have that then. But it's still only an 8. So yeah. Yeah, I would say I've been trying to watch out for any kind of signs of any blight or maddening creatures, animals, and try and skirt around them, try and avoid them as best as possible. Boars, I know, can be quite difficult and stubborn and dangerous if they catch you unawares. So I'd be trying to certainly keep an eye out for boars.
Okay. So you wander for the best part of the day. And yeah, like that afternoon, like mid-afternoon, as you're like chewing on rations and stuff and moving, you would hear the of a boar like in the area, definitely. You would be sure of it. And it's probably unusual. You would think that they would like move towards you. Often like boars cause issues when you surprise them. but it seems like you're not surprising this one. You're making plenty of noise, like with the party of you.
Yeah. If I'm with the party, I would kind of put a hand up to stop the party, and whisper back that my concerns over these animals and that we don't know what they're going to do, and for us to be careful. So I'd turn around and say to Horst, the creatures, a boar can be dangerous if they catch us unawares, their tusks especially so. It's best to skirt around if we can, but we need to be wary in case it charges. Maybe it's best to put Thorin on the mule, on the donkey, whichever it is we've got.
He'll nod and get Thorin to do just that and say, Baron, when we find camp this evenfall, find a tree or perch that you can watch the camp from. In case these beasts do beset us, you can fire down upon them with all his might.
Yes, Lord. You'll continue wandering. Can I get another world-wise off you, Baron?
Only a little bit better. That's 11 all up.
Okay, so it's not enough to notice it as it bursts out from the undergrowth. This boar that rushes towards the front of your column, which would be you. It will barrel out from the undergrowth and rush towards you, and it's going to make an attack. It comes out of literally nowhere, it seems, and it's squealing in this insane noise as it shrieks towards you, and it's going to be a 21 to hit, which will almost certainly do it.
Yeah, definitely hit.
It's going to be 10 points of damage as it charges into you, and I need a strength save, please.
15 on the die. I'm proficient with that also. That is 18 all up.
Okay, so you it hits you with one of the tusks and runs past you. You're not knocked to the ground, thankfully. You're you take a grazing hit as opposed to a full-on one, and it's screaming, making these hideous noises. And you can see that the horses, or not the horses, the mules are very spooked, and they start to guffaw and make their sort of comical in different circumstances, but here frightening sort of screams and noises. And I'll need initiative, please.
$16 for me. Oh, actually, no, it's 17 for me because I had some of my wisdom.
It's 17?
Yeah, 17.
I'll probably put you before Horse because I think that you're a quicker person. So no, I've just put Horse in twice. The first one there should be Baron. Okay, so Baron, you see this boar bursts past you, and it barrels into the side of you, and you can feel a cut from the tusk as it smashes past you and runs into the group of people. You can see the thralls, many of them pulling at the ropes and trying to jump onto the back of the mules or out of its way as it barrels into the bigger group. But you're first to react.
I'm gonna knock an arrow with my bow and take a shot at it. I'm going to use one of my marksman skills again. I'm going to try and trip it. So as it's kind of charging around full speed and it's just charged past me, hopefully by hitting one of its legs, it's just going to trip it and it's going to start barreling over and make it prone. That is a 4 on the dice. That's a 12 to hit.
Wait up before. Yeah, I'm going to use one of my warlord dice to give you a D8 to that attack roll before I know if it hits or not.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a 3. So that's 15 to hit.
Okay, that will hit.
Okay. And it has to make a strength save. Again, DC 14. And that's 9 points of damage. I'm going to use a bonus action as well to mark the creature. I should have done it before the attack, but Too late. Yeah, I'll mark the creature as my quarry for next turn.
Cool. Okay. So an arrow like thunk, into the back of it, and it squeals. It's like awful sort of pig scream, and then horse.
He's going to reach down and grab from his saddle pack the bundle of throwing spears. He's not going to engage the boar in melee. Just hurl a throwing spear into it.
Okay.
Actually, I think a bow would get more penetration than a throwing spear, even up close into a boar hide. So I'm going to use one of my warlord dice, another one. So Kevin, you'll get a free attack, and you add a D8 to the damage if you hit.
That's 13 to hit.
Before you know if you hit or not, I'm going to use my action to spend another warlord dice to give you a D8 to your attack.
15 to hit again.
Oh,
Yep, that'll do it.
So you get a D8 damage on top of that.
And your D6 now for the quarry.
Yeah, 3, 11. That's 15 plus 3, 18 damage.
Ooh, okay. That is nice. So you like...
Too late. I was going to use another marksman point, but too late.
Okay. The arrow like buries itself into the boar's eye, and it like shrieks, and it should be dead. Like you know that. Like it's gone up like a good few inches into the thing's skull, but it doesn't stop. It just like shrieks again and like goes insane, and then it's going to rush towards you and try and gut you into a million little pieces. So the first one's a 16 to hit. When the second one is much higher, 23.
Is that on me? Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, that's going to hit. 16 is my AC.
Okay. So you'll take 8 from the tusk as it like bangs into you, and then like it will barrel the rest of its body into you. And from that one, you will take 8 as well. Jesus. So 16 total. It like runs up to you and like smashes, and like you feel one of the tusks like embed itself in your thigh, and then it just like tramples on top of you almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to be its turn. Crocine.
You'll get neg or 6 damage off that from my aura, from my hold the line aura.
Yep, so you'll take 10 then instead.
Yeah, cool. All right. Yeah, that's. I'm definitely blooded, so I've taken a bit of a beating there off this damn boar.
Okay, Crocine.
The distance to the boar from Crocine, 60 foot or less?
Less, I would say.
Less.
Yep.
He knows that it worked on the enraged bull. I hope it's going to work on the enraged boar. He's going to cast the same rune again in the same manner.
Yeah, it fails once again. You like maybe scratch it into a tree nearby, and like point, and the boar just like once again like it seems to slow and then just simply stop like a statue.
And he's going to give a quick glance back to where the thralls are. He's probably been an air of indifference about them this entire journey, but he does actually want to see them there safely.
They do all seem safe. You can see that Bolveg is like crouched down. He's like trying to reach for a stick. You don't get the impression that he's trying to kill yous, but to protect himself. The other two are like hiding behind the mules as best they can from the boar. Okay, and back to the top, Baron.
I imagine the blow off the boar knocked me down. So I'm going to struggle up to one knee and take another bow shot. I won't need any help from Horst this time, as I got a natural 20 on the attack.
Okay, that will definitely kill it. It had 1 hit point remaining.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell me how it dies.
I get up on one knee, draw one more arrow. As I've seen it just freeze into place with this arrow sticking out of its one eye. I'm going to aim again for the jugular, where I got the bull back in the village, as that seemed to work also. And I just draw back, loose my arrow, and it flies swiftly and surely and thunks into the boar's neck, where I imagine its jugular is, as arterial spray just comes pumping out, probably pumping out faster than I've probably ever seen it pump out, as its heart's beating so quick in its kind of frenzy.
Yeah, definitely. It would be kind of disturbing, actually. This like this insane pressure, and eventually, like the bull will just like topple over, or the boar will just topple over onto the ground, and then finally, like when it's released from the rune, it would like shrivel somewhat and no longer be screaming at long last.
Crow scene, I'll say, with like a lighter tone, so that maybe the thralls don't hear. Is that not Freyja's beast? Is that an ill omen against our quest? And he'll gesture with one of his throwing spears that he didn't let fly towards the beast that just like lays there, slowly fading out, struck through with arrows.
You're going to have to help me out with this one, Lloyd, whether it might think it's or not.
Yeah, so the boar is like associated with both Freyja and Freyr, and it's like associated with like fertility in general. Freyja has a boar called Hildisvin, which is like the battle pig, and Freyr has a golden boar as a sort of mount and pet called Gullenbursty. So like the boar is definitely associated with like the Vanir and fertility and stuff like that.
Was this one roomy-eyed and maddened like the rest? And he goes to speak again, but doesn't say, but thinks, I pray to God, the gods, that's what it is, that it's maddened with sickness and not something meant to stop us.
Yeah, Baron, when you like crouch down by the boar and like examine it, you can see the same sort of signs of like this crust around the eye. And you can see like the spit that has like drooled all around its jowls and things like that. And also that it has self-inflicted injuries, it looks like, from smashing itself into like thorn bushes and trees and things like that.
Yeah, Baron would have kind of got up off one knee, hobbled over, dragging his leg that's been skewered by this tusk. Again, similar to like what he did with the boar, he'd pull out his knife and cut its throat just to make sure it's out of its misery, and then examine the wounds. And he would just be there shaking his head, and he would look back and say, there are more. Let us pray that boars are maybe the least things that are maddened. There can be far worse animals than boars in these woods. We must hurry, but we must be safe and vigilant. We must keep a watch. Maybe a big fire tonight.
Horse nods. Yeah, you should stay with us and not scout ahead now that you're wounded till we've rested and properly seen to that wound. I've seen such things fester from the teeth of pigs.
Yeah, very much so. Lloyd, can I make a wound wise to see if I can fix it somewhat?
You need to rest. You need to like rest and pour like boiling. Yeah, you need to camp. You also need to pour like boiling wine or like alcohol on it, probably. And then like wrap it up with like a poultice that you would know how to make. But it would be like not while traveling. You'd have to make camp.
Yeah. What time of day is it?
It's like mid-afternoon.
We could just camp now early and make up the time tomorrow. What do you think, Baron?
I can maybe go for a little bit more. I can try and find a safer place to camp. Lloyd, one of the abilities is I know one place to rest safely.
Awesome.
Yep, you would know there's like a cabin out here that like you and the other like hunters would use. and you'd be able to like sort that out and find your way there. It's actually not even a cabin. It's like a cave, like a shallow cave that you can like go into, and like you would see that in there are like spare furs and blankets, and there would be like you always leave something when you go or when you use it, so that the next person has something if they end up there desperate.
Maybe some fresh water as well nearby.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So I would say that to the group and say, I think I can carry on for a bit. I know of a cavern not far. That would be a safe place. We should have a safe night's rest, and then I can bound and dress my wounds with some clean water, and then we can certainly make up the time tomorrow.
So Baron, you can lead them there then, like through the rest of the day. And so by like late afternoon, early evening, you're able to find this place. Like I say, like a shallow cave with like a stream, not too far from it. And you would see inside that there are blankets there and furs. A little bit of like dried meat and stuff has been left there, hidden or like buried rather, beneath some stones so animals don't get at it, and things like that. And the intent would be that like when you leave, you would leave similar stuff there. But yeah, you can like get comfortable here. It's warm and cozy actually, and we can see to that wound.
Yeah, get some fresh. I'd maybe ask Thorin, see if she could. Well, I would ask Horst if Thorin could go and get some fresh water. I imagine it's not far and should be quite safe. And then look to start building a decent fire.
Yeah, I'll help and do as much as I can in Thorin's absence so that you can just rest with the leg elevated, get the thralls secured, get the mules washed down and fed, and the camp set up before night like fully sets in, have that fire roaring in the cavern.
Beren would probably turn to Crocine and say, any news on the runes yet? Have you had any readings?
I think it would be much the same. Crocine, like I imagine that you would like do it pretty frequently, or like do little rituals as you kind of go as you're traveling, and you would be like frustrated, I think, that it remains like the same, like lack of clarity and the same sort of like contradictory signs as you go.
So probably at this stage, with his frustrations rather, he'd probably ignore the question, and continue sprinkling some powder into a small cup, waiting for the water to come. You know he's got a bag of herbs for healing on him, so he's just going to pointedly ignore that.
Yeah, be a tense mood, I think, with like the injury of Beren and like the lack of help from the gods, and the thralls like tied up and like very nervous after that encounter. They probably wouldn't have had as much knowledge about what's going on with the animals as you, and so they would be, if they were ungagged at this stage, like speaking quietly. If not, they would be sharing like hooded looks and like worry at like the boar and what had happened.
Is tomorrow Friday on the day we think we might reach the stone, or is that 2 days from now?
2 days from now.
Okay, cool.
So you can rest and like with the artifice of Crocine and the others like tend to Beren's wound and like try and fix it as best as possible. And you think that it's pretty sorted, so you guys can have a short rest for resting in this place. Long rest is a week, so you can't really take that much time. But yeah, you can take a short rest, and in the morning head out once again. We're going to take a quick break there, run out for a smoky wee,
Nice.
and then we'll be back to conclude.
Cool.
Excellent.
I'm back. Good to know the animals are scary anyway. That's kind of the theme of this, was like using animals from the full expansion to see like how they work out, but it seems to be pretty scary, which is what I want for Iskloft, because I think they're like very weak in normal D&D. Like a party can easily batter a bear, and I think that's just like, I think like 5 mailed warriors would still have trouble with a bear, you know?
Oh, for sure. Especially if they're short weapons.
Yep.
There's a reason they all use the spears.
Exactly, yeah.
I would not like to come face to face with a bear.
No, Jesus, no. Well, you guys are like uniquely well equipped to deal with like the animal threats.
Yeah, it's just a shame that they're so good at strength saves at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's usually like in terms of animals, it's like their best save. I may look at doing something with that, because I think a lot of the saves that you require as a marksman are strength, and that's also going to be the best save of all fighters and all berserkers. So it might be worth like looking at changing them up here or there.
Maybe something like a trick could be dexterity, possibly.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Like a few of them could be dex instead of strength.
Yeah, well, but the animals definitely feel scary enough and tough, and I'm not thinking, oh, that boar's a little bit too tough, to be fair, because boars are very...
Yeah, they'll mess you up, man. Yeah, for sure. Like, they'll fucking wreck you.
Yeah. Yeah. We need something like a polearm master with sentinel.
Exactly. That's what you want against a boar. It's like a big long spear.
Yeah. And then sentinel, so that when you hit something, it reduces it to 0.
Yeah. And even like the idea of fighting a bull, which I think like, again, in D&D would have been like a walkover. Felt like, to me, that felt really scary. Like if that thing had hit you guys, whew, it would have been real ugly, real quick. Yeah. And it felt good because you were like, rather than like, oh, I'll just take a hit from it, you were running the whole time, which makes so much more sense, you know? I think it's like much more how a person would react in that situation, as opposed to, well, I've got X amount of hit points, I could probably take a hit from a bull, which realistically could easily kill you, I think, you know?
Yeah, I mean, my plan was definitely to try and get something, especially, my idea was for me to fire, to get a shot off. Again, if he goes before me, then fine. And then drop back and just keep dropping back, firing.
Yeah.
But because it dashed and got so close to me with like that much amount of movement, and then it was a good job that I took 10 feet of its movement off as well.
Yep, it would have got you otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah, but very, very interesting encounters, very realistic encounters, which is what is really good about this setting.
Yeah, that's the hope. Okay, I think we're all back. So you set off the next morning, like pretty well rested, actually, having like slept in like a pretty good shelter, and you can leave some food and things behind as sort of thanks, which is a tradition here in this place, for the next person who needs it, and make your way through the forest once again. As you're like riding or walking rather, you have to cross like a bridge that's been built here a long time ago. There's no like issue with the bridge, but you can see that like there are dead fish floating in the river, which again would like maybe like send a shiver up your spine. Like that's not normal. And you can like for the rest of the day, like it becomes clear to the thralls that you're approaching where you need to be, and they start to become a little bit more like nervous. And like Harold will, until he's gagged again, beg once more. Like they're, but maybe he didn't even take his gag off. But he would be like mouthing then even like a all day. as you like approach. And you move for the best part of the day. You do come to like a old stone. It's marked with like these runes. You can see, though it's been like scratched and broken in many places, it looks like deliberately, like someone has like smashed parts of the rune stone apart. It's like this old stone, and you can see it's like marked with like Odin's eye, but then there's like a circle of runes all around it that tell a story, but they've been smashed here and there. You being able to read runes, Crocine, you'd be able to like follow the tale mostly, and it reads sort of like a history, but you would see that like it's got a bunch of like basically redacted like parts that have been like smashed out or pulled away, but you can piece together pretty easily that this is a story about the first king and that he made some sort of a deal, and then it mentions an oath. But like beyond that, like the details are sparse.
So this has been the destruction and desecration of the tale of Jarl Jarnårr.
Yes, so it would seem.
And this is on Ironeye land, so I'm assuming it's from their perspective.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
You'd be familiar enough with the tale, I think, because you live here in these lands. And it looks like it's not recent or anything. It's just something you've come across now. You probably wouldn't have come into this forest many times, and you would see it now that there's like a defaced. Obviously, it was like a marker to say like this is what happened. But yeah, it's been like broken down. Obviously, it happened like a long time ago.
I think he would indicate this to Horst, and he'd say, "No one from our lands would do this. Outsiders."
Is the vandalism recent?
You don't think so? It doesn't look recent. It just like looks like it's been done at some stage in the past. Like there would be like mold and not mold, moss and stuff over the stone in lots of places. So it doesn't look like it happened recently. But you think at some stage, obviously, somebody came through here and must have seen the stone and done this.
What tale do the runes tell? Those that are still here.
It's a tale of Brynjolf Ironeye. And I'm guessing the bits that have been removed are the bits detailing Gunnar's bargain.
Yeah, so it would say something like it would mention that there was a great king, and that he became powerful, and then that he like something oath, and something power, and this would be like the parts that have been broken away, which you'd be able to piece together was that like he like broke an oath and he like gained power from something, which is what the Ironeyes believe. But like obviously it's been defaced to like no longer tell that tale.
It may not be recent, but it sets me be unnerved that someone should fill the tale.
Might not this be the source of our curse and shaking plague? That this should be rewrought, and he'll point at like where the moss grows over the runes or where bits of it have been smashed away.
But who could have done this? If no one from our lands did this, who would have to
He
take
shrugs.
it?
Gunlanders, and spits on the ground, eyeing the woods.
Baron would also turn and spit on the ground, as you say, Gunlanders.
Or a skag, he'll say, grabbing the Odin's eye hung about his neck.
But what would Gunlanders be doing this far south? I've not seen none for a long time, and certainly none in these woods.
And we've heard no talk of witches.
Nor of raids.
Baron would take a walk around the stone, see if there's any footprints, any tracks that he can see, any human footprints or anything like that?
No, it doesn't seem so. It looks like this was done like quite a while ago. You would think years as opposed to even months. But it's just like this is not a common path that you would take, though it is like safe, which is what you've been aiming for. So I think it's like more like you just noticed this, but you wouldn't think it was recent at all.
You see, there's no signs of any passage recently, and this looks like it's been done a long time ago. So I can't see this being the cause of maybe the curse or the blight that has struck us.
Perhaps we should move on. It is for another time that plinth should be corrected.
You can make a note of it, and maybe like when this is sorted, you can send Crocine with some men and like recarve the truth onto the stone.
Yeah, that night he's going to take his vellum and squid ink and do traces of that and parts of the story. He reads and writes 3 different languages, though he cannot read runes, but he knows the tale at least and can remember bits of the imagery. And we'll just like put that down in like his journal, for want of a better word, but it's a point of note and like a rough map.
That night, as you like rest, like you've walked for another several hours, and you like come to rest in like a deeper part of the wood. You've got like a fire going, and you're all like looking in, trying to keep warm. It's quite chilly now this night, and you'd be like warming your hands by the fire, and maybe Crocine would like tell a tale, but you would notice all of you that like the mules become quite jumpy all of a sudden. They like start to move. Not like dramatically, but like pawing at the ground and like moving their head side to side.
What does that mean, Baron?
I know not. If they're getting worried or jumpy, though, it may mean that something is close that may panic them. It may be worth making the fire bigger. Hopefully that can scare away anything. Although, seeing what we've seen with some of these mad, crazed animals, I would not think so. Let's be prepared.
Yeah, I'll take some flaming brands and put it around some like spot fires on the perimeter of the camp to kind of light it up as well.
Yeah, as you do, and you like begin to throw, you can see that like as one of them is thrown, at the edge of that like little globe of light, you can see like eyes shining back. It looks like a wolf is like watching from the outside, which would be consistent with like the mules becoming panicked, like smelling a predator. And like seeing it, you would hear the thralls begin to like like asking to be freed so they can help or do something.
We must protect the thralls, and I would probably say, in a slightly lower tone to them, without the sacrifice, all is lost. Our trip is pointless. We must keep them safe.
Prepare to break camp. We'll push on. We'll take flaming brands as torches and march on to the safety of the Freyja stone and wait the rise of Freitag there. But we cannot rest with wolves at our camp at once with haste. And he's going to go over to take, what was the guy's name? Harald off his horse, or not off his horse, but like from his horse, or mule, sorry, and lead it towards where that flaming brand revealed the wolf's eyes and slaughter the mule and like split open its belly for the wolves.
So as you like walk out with the mule into that like globe of light, like the wolf is like looking at you and it'll like pad backwards, and then there will be this like smash as something like barrels into the mule, and you can just hear it like and then like gone into the darkness, and the wolf will like pad back.
Yeah, then he'll turn to help break camp and like grab the thralls and throw them up on the remaining mules and move with torches through the woods, bearing at our head.
Yeah, Baron would have a shield and a torch. So shield in one hand, torch on the other. He wants to be prepared in case something charges at him unknown. So he'll probably put on a helm also. He's got a helm that was his old family's helm. He'd put that on.
So girded for war, you can begin like moving in the dark with like torches all around towards the Freyja stone. You think it's like a couple of hours, and you're making like as fast as you can. The mules are terrified, and like they're continuously like braying in fear. And you can see that they're like following you. These wolves, you can see them like at the edge of like the light. Occasionally, you'll see like the eyes reflected back. But you can also hear, like, despite the sort of quiet footfalls of the wolves, an occasional like, or like a broken branch or something, as if something larger lurks beyond in the dark.
I do not like the sound of that. Something is much bigger back there. Although if it was enraged, I feel we would know about it.
Should we sacrifice another mule to delay what predates us, or just rush towards the place you know?
How far away are we, Lloyd?
At this stage, like, you've been moving fast, and I think you'd be all of you out of breath from like moving quickly through the dark. You're probably about 20 minutes from where the Freyja stone is. You know that it's like a cliff face with the statue like facing down towards the sea.
Then yeah, I would go with that suggestion from Horst. Yeah, I think we won't need the packs for our travels back. I can forage from the land if need be. So yes, let's kill one more of the mules.
Yeah, we'll kill Hildy's mule and have Thorin like watch that woman and drag her along with us.
So as you like kill the mule and then begin to run, you can hear the of like wolves that they tear at the thing, and then like a sort of like whimpering as you hear like a it's like low rumble, and they can hear sort of like dragging of the mule's body like away into the dark as you like run now at this stage, moving as quickly as you can. And you can see in front of you like the break in the tree line, and like burst out of it into like this clearing, beautiful starlit sky above, and you can hear the sort of soft crash of the waves against the cliff face down below, and the statue of Freyja. It's beautiful. It's got like the hair of Freyja is cast in gold, and a cloak of bronze falcon feathers around her shoulders, and she like stands astride this chariot pulled by two cats, and at her side is Hildisvin, the battle boar, and you can see that is what you take in initially, and then you like see that like in front of this there's like a bear trap, and like stuck in it is this stag elk, but it's like much bigger than a normal stag, and it's like gorgeous and like perfect. It's like golden sort of fur, and its antlers look more like the branches of a tree than they do like antlers. It's like stuck there, and it's like lying on the ground. Obviously its like front foot is mangled from the trap, and you can see that it's like tried to pull away but has been unable to do so. But beyond that, it looks like not only is like the injury from the bear trap, but like it's burned the skin of this thing. Like you can see the fur has been like burnt away, and like there's like bubbling sort of like skin around it, as if it's like badly allergic maybe to like the trap.
Would Baron know anything of this this fine beast, this fine animal?
You can make me either a lore wise or a seath wise.
Can I give that a go as well?
Yep.
Neither. I'm guessing that's intelligence, though.
Yes.
It's a 10 on the die, -1. It's a 9. I've never seen this thing ever, but I'm probably awestruck by it.
Yeah. Crocine, though, despite having never seen one, would know of it. It's called an Agnarsson. It's like a special kind of stag, like a sacred creature of the woods. It's like apparently the same kind of stag that lurks at the top of the world tree. This like sacred creature of the Vanir. And like more than that, you would know as a Gelder and like as one who like understands the secrets, is like creatures from those worlds often like fear and hate iron, like particularly like cold iron. And you could maybe like surmise that this trap is like hurting it more than a normal trap would. And it like looks to you not with like anger or even fear, but like this like very human emotion of like help.
Yeah, I think there'd be a moment of shock upon seeing this creature before Crocine. I'd imagine everyone else is in shock, so there's probably a moment where he puts out his arms and he'd start to approach it like he would any wild beast, even though he knows this is something slightly more.
Yeah, like eyes you warily. They're not like the sort of skittering fear that a stag might have or like a deer. And it like turns its massive head with like this crown of like branch-like antlers to like regard you as you approach. But then it like will reel back and you'll hear behind you the padding of wolves and the snarling.
Baron would ask, as Crocine seems to know what this is, I would say, what is it? Such magnificence.
Like Theanir, the Vanir's beasts, guardians of the dark places of the woods. Some of them even Freyja's kith, and he'll like point down. Too fearful to go where Crocine treads for now. Turns his head at the sound of wolves, though, trying to look about to see if he can perceive them.
Baron, you would know that you don't trap here. This is like a sacred place, and like no one traps here. It's kind of like there's sort of just like an unspoken agreement that you don't trap around like the god's sacred shrines. But obviously, someone did, and you would be kind of like maybe like angry at the thought that someone would trap here. Often, like animals are attracted here because people leave offerings to Freyja. And it would be like a rich place, obviously, to like trap, but it's kind of like an unspoken agreement among like the hunters of the region, like not to trap near god shrines. And you, Horst, would definitely like as you like turn back towards the tree line, you would see like 3 wolves like just in the tree line, trying to stay out of the light, but you would see their eyes reflected. And as you like look, you can see that same sort of gunk, that same sort of like crust around their eyes, and they're like all peeled back in a sort of snarl.
Is it still dark? So can we see them well enough?
No, it's dark, but you can see like on the edge of the torchlight is what you'd be able to see.
Okay. I would throw my torch just so we can see a little bit more, and take a couple of steps back, draw my war sacks with my shield raised, and I guess take a dodge action if needs be.
As you like throw it and it like and lands, you can see the shape of another wolf, though this one just much larger. It like towers above. Where the hell is it? Here we go. Like towers above the other wolves. This like enormous thing, much too big to be a normal wolf, you think. and you would have heard of these before. These are like the Dunarulf, which again, all these like things in the woods that you've always heard stories of, but like never expected to see. You only see it briefly. You can only tell what it is because its eyes are so much higher than the rest of the wolves. Before they like torch onto the ground and it retreats a little bit back into the woods.
I would say to Horst, I think we should fall back closer to the cliff. We do not want to be tangling with these things right now. Let's fall back a little bit to towards the statue. Maybe the statue's blessing can give us some safety.
That's a good idea. A horse will call to follow Crowscene, and he'll call out to Crowscene that there are wolves here on the edge of the woods, and like some urgency and worry evident in his voice. But he would rather rush towards the trapped Earkthinir than fight wolves in the dark.
You can see that Bolveg is like trying to pull his mule closer to the cliff. He's like got his feet in the dirt and he's like pulling, and the mule is like petrified by fear and doesn't know which way to go. It's like nervous of the stag, but also terrified of like the wolves that it can smell. He's like trying to pull it. Hildy and Thorin are like moving in that direction as well. And yeah, it's up to you guys.
I'll just cut the rope that binds Bolveg and grab hold of it for myself and leave the mule in its stricken state to the wolves and like jog towards Crowscene, dragging Bolveg unless he is keeping up.
So as the group kind of steps away from the mule, you'll see this wolf, like bigger than a horse, step out of the fire or out of the forest and towards the mule, which just like almost seems to like faint from fright, and the wolf will like taste the air and like look around, and its eyes will lock on like the Eikthinir, but then will like bite down at the mule and like pick it up in its jaws and like move back, dragging it towards the forest, where you'll hear like again that like of like wolves tearing something apart.
As Crowscene moves forward, probably talking a bit soothingly, or at least in soothing tones, he approaches this beast. When you say bear trap, is this something that is like?
It's like a pressure trap that's like wrapped around. It's like smashed onto its like front hoof or like front leg, like a traditional sort of bear trap. Maybe not as fine or like as mechanical as we would expect, but like basically like a thing you step on it and then things will like smash into the leg to keep it in place.
It's something heavy duty that I think it's going to take a while to.
Yeah, you think like it would probably take a lot of strength to pull it back. Might be a 2-person job. Okay. Bolveg is like pulling at the rope, Horst, and he's like looking at you with like, give me a weapon so I can fight these wolves. He's like looking at them and looking at you, clearly like afraid for his life.
Crowscene, do you think that this could be the reason for the madness and the curse?
Well, something foul has happened here.
Quick, help me, he'll say, and he'll try and haul one side of the trap to free the Eikthinir.
Yeah, since Crowscene's there.
If this is the source of the curse, do you think we should cut the thralls free so they can help us?
Just keep them alive. And it will look at the boy as if to say, if you free him, he will get in your way and get us killed.
Yeah, just keep it as is for now. Try and get this trap free and free the Eikthinir.
Okay, can I get athletics from Crowscene and from Horst?
certainly.
24.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
26, actually. No,
Oh,
sorry, 25. Yep.
Oh, that beats my 19.
Okay, well, that's both successes. You're able to, like, between the two of you, like, pull, and the thing will, like, pull its hoof free. You're not able to set it all the way back, like the pressure is too much, but then there's like a and it closes, but you're both well free of it. The thing will, like, limp and then, like, reach down and, like, lick at its wound. And you'll see it, like, just, like, close over and heal at the lick. And it will, like, turn in the direction of the woods and then, like, stand up proud. It's big. It's very big, much bigger than a stag, bigger than a horse even. And as it, like, stands up proud and it's, like, huge antlers, it, like, turns towards the woods and, like, takes 2 hesitant sort of steps forward. And you can see, like, 2 of the wolves, like, back further away out of the torchlight.
Horse is going to grab that trap if he can and hurl it over the edge of the cliff behind the Freyja stone.
Yep, you can do so. We'll hear it, like, dong, gong, against the cliff and then...
I know it's dark, but do I see any others nearby?
Other wolves?
Any more traps nearby? I know it's dark, so I might not be able to, but...
No, you don't see any, like, in the area that you could give me a perception to, like, search.
17 on the die, and I'm proficient, so that's +5, so it's 22.
Yeah, so it looks like there was one left, like, right near the altar, and you think, you know, if it was you, you know that animals come here because offerings are left to Freyja and they, like, eat here, and so it would be, like, a profitable place to leave a trap, but it's also, like, a dishonest and, like, disrespectful or, like, sacrilegious place to leave a trap, and so you don't see any others.
Would we think that this is from our Jarl's land domain, or is this some other Jarl's land? I'm trying to think of who the candidates for setting a trap here might be, and if we know them.
So, like, the forest itself is, like, so big that, like, it doesn't really belong to anyone. Like, your lands, your Jarl's lands would end, like, you know, half a day into the woods probably. And so there's no one, like, really claims the actual forest itself because, like, how can you? But there are other Jarldoms, like, bordering yours, so it could have been, you know, from either of the neighboring ones.
And how long has our plague been going on for?
About a month.
A month. Is it even feasible that we could look for not at night anyway, but, like, we could try and see if there's human tracks around here that predate our own and try and follow them to see which direction they go?
You would think maybe. Also thinking about the fact that it's been a month would, like, also alert you to, like, how not a stag this thing is if it's been trapped here for a month. But, like,
yeah, a holy creature.
Yeah, and still fine. But yeah, you would think that, like, any tracks would be hard to find a month out. But it's worth investigating. The wolves seem to have backed away, and you can see the Arcthiernir, like, step closer to the edge of the woods, now, like, undaunted and, like, standing sort of proud and tall. It, like, steps to the edge of the woods, and there's no, like, snarling that follows. It seems like those creatures respect or fear this thing.
I think Crocine would follow this beast's path as it makes its way towards the edge of the woods. I mean, he's got that silver tongue thing. I don't know if this thing would be... if there'd be a particular language that, you know, might be relevant here.
A language? You think it's unlikely this thing speaks anything, but you could definitely try.
I'll at least try and set it up as a prayer or something such as that, a gift for a courtesy given, that it may stay the night and guard while we prepare. And it's just a hopeful.
So it's, like, looking out into the woods, and as you, like, begin to, like, intone the prayer to Freyja into this thing, it'll, like, turn and look back at you, and it will stay there, like, looking out into the woods until, like, you finish your prayer. It will approach and, like, nudge you with its nose, and like lick at your hair, and then like go back to looking at the woods.
Can Beren just say he would hold the amulet of Odin that he has, and just say quietly, "We shall hunt and find those responsible for desecrating the stone of Freyja," and that would be what he says.
You can wait until morning. This stag will like wait with you, and it won't like vanish or go anywhere. Like keeping vigil over the night. And when morning comes, it is Friday, and the thralls look terrified.
I don't know whether maybe given the hair blossom skill or something we were given as provisions, some kind of sedative maybe, or are we without?
For the thralls, I don't think so. I mean, you could probably concoct something.
I mean, it could feasibly fit in the kind of preparations during the night, I'd imagine.
Yeah, if you wanted to like take some of the mushrooms and herbs and things that you could find, you could definitely concoct something that would make you drowsy.
Yeah, if I could do that and just drug them basically.
So you would drug the thralls?
Yeah, just a mild sedative to kind of calm their nerves. Not the full on kind of
Yeah.
suggestive ones.
Yep, you can do so, and like force them to drink, and they will like involuntarily like become calmer. It would be like a case of like you're doing that, and everyone's kind of doing their task, and you like look back up, and the like Thirnir will simply be gone. It will have vanished into the woods.
Immediately upon seeing that, listen out for wolves prowling the camp.
No such sound is heard.
I think at that point he would shout over the horse and Brian, and let them know, point to where it was, and then he'd have to get back to his preparations during the night anyway.
Yeah, morning will come, and still no wolves, no like signs of them returning. The sun will like rise over the sea, and you'll see like the sun glint against the golden hair of Freyja and the beautiful statue here.
Horse is out of his element here and watches nervously when he's like not resting for Crowseed's signal or guidance. I guess he's been he's attended many a blot and type of sacrificial like offerings and such, but I don't think anything like this.
Yeah, the sight of two creatures like that, I think, would be like a pretty unique experience. Even seeing one, I think, would be like pretty crazy. Like the idea that like everyone knows that there are giant wolves. They think anyway, that they're the litter of Fenrir, but no one really sees them. At least no one who lives to tell about it. And even you would have never seen one, Beren, despite the amount of time you spent in these woods. And then to see an Eikthyr is like a very fortuitous and sacred thing. And so it probably would be overwhelming, I would say, to all of you.
I'm confused, not confused, but like there's layers of like omen and symbolism. And so I think Horst is like, well, is that a good sign from Freyja, or does she still need the thralls? Are the wolves a thing we need to go for still, and like that uncertainty leads him to seek and defer to Crowscene for how to proceed, and he'll be like quite quiet and reverential and try and compel Thorin to act the same.
Yeah, I think
given the grim.
Yeah, I think if I've seen any sort of doubt come over Horst, I would also try and push him towards not sacrificing them. I would, Beren would probably say, the wolf has gone. Surely that is a sign enough that we have alleviated the curse. We freed the stag. Do we still need to sacrifice the young lives?
Perhaps not, but our Jarl spoke that these three thralls should be given to Freyja, and we swore an oath that it would be done. I don't think I can know. The Crowscene may, and he'll look over to the Galdar, undiscernible, implacable as he's been since dawn, and then back to Beren. I confess I do not know, friend.
But you are right. We swore to our Jarl that we would see this done. And we made this journey. We might as well see it through now. I just wish there was another way.
What would you have us do, Immisgil, Crowscene?
There's no doubt in his mind what must be done. He continues to prepare for the sacrifice. We have done a good deed, but there are remains to be made. It may not have been us, one of us that set the trap, but we are still responsible for it.
Yeah, that tracks. Like, that makes sense. Even if it wasn't you that did it, like, the crime has still been committed and someone must atone. At least that is a way to look at it.
Yeah.
So that being the case, then you can like prepare the thralls. It would be like a pretty laborious process. You have to like paint them with runes, like put white chalk on their faces and coal under their eyes, and paint the appropriate runes on them to be sacrificed. Bolveg is like quieter now, though he would like look and say, "I cannot go to Corpse Hall with no weapon. I'm ready to go, but don't send me to the Corpse Ripper."
You've been a bad thrall, but you've never told a lie and never fought anyone who didn't deserve it. Odin would welcome you at the table of heroes, Bolveg, and he'll pull out his own sword and place it into the man's painted, bound hands.
Yeah, he'll hold it tight, and he'll look at you and nod and say, "Let it be known that I faced fear, or faced death, without fear, and that I was never cowed. I go to the corpse hall with a smile on my face." The other two are apoplectic with fear, and like do not face it in the same way as this man. Like, they're both still begging and like pleading despite the sedative. You can see them like shaking their heads. No, 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 please, please, please.
I'll step back with a bit of worry on my silent face. Worry. It's a good omen when someone faces a sacrifice with bravery like Bolveg's doing, but it's an ill omen, the reaction of the other two, and not ideal or favourable, at least from the like types of sacrifices he's seen before. So he steps back with a little trepidation while their pleas gnaw at him.
What is Thorin doing at this point?
She'll be watching as I bid her watch.
Well, what's her expression? What's her what she like. Is she shocked at it? Is she standing there proud?
I don't know, Lloyd.
It's hard to say. I think like being raised in this world would inure you somewhat to the idea of people being killed for religious purposes. Like it would still be an extreme kind of religious ceremony, but it wouldn't be like not the way that we would look at it, you know. So I think like she would probably be nervous and uncomfortable, particularly with the pleading, but she would also like understand that this is like for the gods and that is like an okay thing to do, you know. And she would like see that the religious leader of her town, like Crocine, seems calm about it and seems like doing the process. And so I think like she'd be able to rationalize it like, okay, well, this is just normal. This has to happen.
Yeah, I think Baron would be standing next to her or by her, behind her possibly, and talking to her, asking her questions. Do you know why this must be done? And do you understand why this is done this way? Do you understand the place in the world that each of us have? The place that the warriors have, the thralls have, and I would be asking her these things, trying to almost distract myself as much as distracting her.
Yeah, she would nod and she would say, it is their fate, their skein, written like this, that they die here. I understand. And she's like saying that like quite loudly and like occasionally looking at Horst to be like, that's correct, right? Like that's what you've told me, so that's what I should like say back.
And I would say, if you can't look a person in the face when they die, then maybe they do not deserve to die or should not die. That is why you must look, and that is why I must look. And that is why we all must watch as they give their sacrifice.
The preparations continue, and eventually, like the pleading would like become quiet, and you can like give the appropriate prayer. Crow's scene, like Hail Freyja, Lady of Asgard, Hail Geffen, she who gives prosperity. Like list all the different names of Freyja, as like the various aspects of her.
Yeah, he does so, and he gives it the reference and the weight that such an occasion would no doubt instill. And he moves first, as he comes to the end of the first prayer, to Harold, the boy.
Yeah, you can see that there are tears in his eyes. He doesn't want to go, and he doesn't really face it with the sort of stoicism that you would hope. But he's like, now that he's certain that it's happening, trying to like bring it under his control.
Yeah, he recognises this, and he's glad of it. For his thinking was to move down the line towards the most stoic, rather than instilling greater fear in the boy. So he's glad to see that he tries to measure himself by the end.
Yeah, you can see like his lower lip is like somewhat shaking, but then like when you approach and he like feels the moment is upon him, he'll like like breathe heavy, sort of shakily, but like try and seal himself.
And then I'll slit his throat.
Yeah, it won't take long. He'll like fall to his knees and bleed his lifeblood into the earth in front of Freyja's stone.
He'll continue the prayer and move next to Heidi, I believe her name is.
Yep. So she's like shaking her head, much like Harold had done, like shaking her head and like looking at you, but she's still pleading. You can see in her eyes. And she's like shaking her head.
I wish there was something I could do to kind of shore up her strength at this point. But instead, it will just attempt to make it quick.
Yeah, you can do so. Like having done this maneuver on like bulls and huge animals, like to cut a human throat is comparatively easy, at least mechanically. Maybe not so much on the soul, but nonetheless, you're able to like cut her throat and she will die similarly. Like first fall to her knees and then back into the dirt. And again, like the blood will soak in front of the Freyja stone.
And lastly, I'll move to Bolvik.
I will keep a seat for you in the corpse hall.
He'll give him a squeeze on the shoulder, and I think a sad smile at that, and a nod. But he'll silently do the deed.
And he too will fall. And the three now bleed, like pulsing their blood into the earth around the Freyja stone, and you feel like a drop, and it begins to rain like very suddenly, as if from nowhere. Just this, which is definitely a sign, and you would think it must be a good one.
Yeah, I think he would say that out loud. A cleansing. And hold his face skyward as it rains down.
And so the rain will like fall and mingle with the blood, and you can like then like reach down and take the blood and paint it upon the statue of Freyja in thanks. And like she holds like a bowl in one hand, and you can place like appropriate sacrifices in it, and the rain will like pour down, and will like wash away the paint and the chalk from the bodies, which you can like bury appropriately. Nearby, there's like a mound for sacrifices to Freyja that you could find and like open up and dig and place the bodies within. It's hard work in the rain, but it feels sort of like a conclusion or a satisfaction that you've like done the correct thing, and the rain seems proof of it.
Lloyd, would Baron know of any beaches nearby or landing spots along the coast?
Yeah, so you're currently at the top of a cliff, but if you were to go, which way are you? If you were to go east for like half a day, it will lead downwards, and there is like a cove there.
Okay. I would then say to Horst, I know there's a cove to the east. Maybe it might be worth heading that way once our journey's done. That would seem like the likeliest place for hunters to have landed and set up, if anything.
I'm inclined to agree. We don't want to go back to our village just to have the stone profaned again if the culprits are nearby. What do you think, Crowscene? I'm happy to go down to the coast and investigate this cove.
If it is a spot frequented by those who would hunt these woods, it would do no harm.
They may know something or give us some lead. Or not, but at worst, it keeps us away from the plague-ridden village. Let's go then. And leave Freyja to her blood offering.
And so you do. You see the thralls buried correctly, and you begin to like move through the woods. You will like at one stage come across a doe that will like flee at your approach, and you, Baron, must think that that's a good sign. Like you don't see any sort of like madness in the the doe like you had seen previously. And that will be like echoed around. Like it seems like the animals are acting somewhat more normal, which is probably a great relief to you as you like make your way down through the hills and then down towards the coast.
I imagine that all the forest has kind of almost let out a sigh of relief, almost. A tension seems to have gone out of the air. And it might not be something tangible, but just, again, how the animals are reacting to people, and the whole general feel just feels better. Like a cool breeze has swept through the forest. And I would probably feel that is certainly a good omen, a good sign for the future.
You can like continue until you can see the beach itself and like see that there's like a boat pulled up there, and there are some people like sitting around camping in tents. Obviously, like the rain has like stopped their fire, and it looks like a small longship, like a snika, that you can see. There's like a red heraldry of like a horned helm on the sail. And the beast head is attached to the boat, which you would understand immediately to mean that these people are not here for friendly purposes. But like they don't seem to see you like in the tree line, but there was like a lot of them there, or like a crew's worth basically, who are like seemingly making themselves at home on this beach.
Beren would turn and spit and curse at them seethingly.
And you would think by the heraldry, like red is a Gunland color. They all tend to have these like red. It's also expensive to dye sails red, and so you would think probably Gunlanders.
I would speak with them and know their purpose here. I'll grumble.
There is many of them, though. Is that wise? If they're here for no good, as their prow suggests, approaching them to speak will certainly not be the wisest idea at first. Maybe once we've whittled down their numbers.
He'll take his sword out and cut off a nearby branch and say, "Even the Gunlanders, even a Gunlander would not forsake or profane the birch branch." With my feature as an advisor, I get to learn the history of the world. When I'm in a court-like situation, you always know at least one person there by reputation, and you always know of at least one deed they're known for. When you meet a Jarl, a famous reaver, or the like, you can usually recall at least one fact about them. So I'm hoping to rely on that and go down with the birch branch and herald these guys from a distance with my sword now resheathed. But
Okay.
yeah, Beren, if you want to like stay back and skulk in the woods in case it goes south, that could be an excellent an excellent plan.
Yeah, I would hide somewhere with the closest route back to the hold, if needs be.
Thorin, stay with Beren and do as he bids.
Yes, come girl. I'll show you how to skulk in the woods.
She like looks between you, like obviously upset. Where are you going?
Speak with the Gunlanders. I know a few gunners, he says, and I'll return back once I know more for our Jarl.
You can't trust Gunlanders. I know this.
You're learning, girl. Good. Don't worry. I'll have Crocine with me.
She looks very worried, but nonetheless does as she's told.
And he'll take the take the peace branch and look to Imazgul.
He'll be ready to come with you, but he will mention or advise not to mention the sacrifice and what occurred around it. to these gunlanders.
He'll nod.
You can walk down the hill with the branch held high, and one of the men will like see you, and there'll be like a commotion, and then they'll like two to match your numbers will approach. One of them, obviously the captain, wears this like horned helm, like a comedy, like you would think a stupid helmet. It's got these like big curved horns, and then antlers at the back, like obviously like to make him stand out in the shield wall and to like give him an appearance to be threatening. He wears like fine mail, has a sword at his belt, and like a red cloak. And next to him, a man who has like none of the look of the captain, but all of the look of a killer. Like sunken eyes, sort of gaunt, with a red beard and a bald head. And they'll like approach to meet you halfway. And he'll like look at the two of you and like see that one of you seemingly, I guess you would probably know what a Gelder looks like to look at. And he'd incline his head and then like look to you, Horst. Hello there.
Welcome to the shore, Gunlander, he'll say, after confirming it by hearing the man's voice, I assume.
Yeah.
I am Horst, son of Har, Jarl of Jarl Jarnőrr of Brynholm.
Ah. They call me Knut Hornhelm. I am Jarl of Gunland.
What are you doing here, my lord?
Lost. He'll say with like a grin and then shrug. No, we are not stopping. We had an issue with our ship, and we'll be going soon.
He'll smile and unclip the fine fox fur trimming of his cloak that I get from my starting gear and hand it over as a gift to the man. On behalf of my Jarl, it would not be said that someone miscast so on our shores was not given some gift, a symbol of friendship.
He'll smile at the gesture, and then he'll like look upon his person, and he'll like take a silver arm ring and hand it to you.
We were looking to our woods, and my man here knew of this cove from days of youth. Quite a coincidence that we would come to remember the place and find you and your men here. By fortune, is there some way that we can help you, Lord?
Well, we don't intend to stay long. We ran aground against some of these damn cliffs, and he'll like gesture behind him. And there are cliffs like either direction of this cove. We simply have to make some repairs, and we'll be on our way. I hope we have caused no offense. We did send some people hunting. We don't. We can pay you for the meat we took.
No, it is not ours. It is the forest's, and to Freyja that you must pay.
Oh. Well, and he'll like reach for like a coin purse and like hand it to you. Maybe you can see that Freyja gets this.
I do not know of such things. I would have to defer to my men here, he says.
It would be able to make an offering to Freyja through someone else like this, when the offering should be made by you and your men.
No, we can do
Perhaps you
so.
could leave your offerings to this cove for the next traveller who finds misfortune. They might find some reward from the cove for their struggle, and honour Freyja that way. This is her domain. He'll gesture to the wall place about them.
We had no idea. We did not mean to cause any offense. And he like looks over his shoulder at the man next to him, who like shrugs, like he had no idea either. And he nods. We will leave an offering. Let me think. I suppose Freyja likes gold as much as the next god. And you don't think that's him being sacrilegious. You just think that he's not very religious. Like obviously more mercenary than spiritual. and he'll like look to the Gelder and say, "Oh, what would be appropriate? Meat, money, and to leave it here at the cove. That would be acceptable."
What's the judgment call in this?
Yeah, the god, the gods are not picky, and he's right. Like anything you offer, if it's like something that is meaningful to you or costly to you, it's a good sacrifice. You know.
And leaving it at the cove would.
Yeah, if these are Freyja's woods and you leave something here for Freyja, then yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, yeah, I'll tell him that if his men can part with such things, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Good. We will do so. We've been here for some time, but we didn't mean to cause any... well, we didn't want to go and wander into Jarldoms and announce ourselves. We simply... It took a little bit of chopping and a little bit of working, but we're nearly repaired.
You've scared away all of the friendly spirits, Knut. He'll gesture to the dragon prow.
He'll like look over his shoulder again. You never know. These are not our lands.
Where are you headed? If a man doesn't know to which port he sails, he'll forever be lost.
We're off to Canna in Sodderford. And you would know that's like the far west from where you are. So they've come from Gunland, which is east, and they're going to sail around the bottom of the coast to like get to Sodderford.
Can I get the measure of this man with like an insight check or something? So far, everything seems very like genuine and endearing and like resonant with the man. But I wonder if I'm not being keen enough. 15 all up for insight check.
Yeah, you think that he like is not insidious, but maybe like not very thoughtful. Like he's like maybe impulsive or something. You don't think that like you don't get the impression that any of the things that he's done have been like by some sort of like dark design, more like not incompetence, but like a lack of knowledge, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's probably more likely that one of his men set the trap in ill weather than he himself.
Yes.
And what's in Kana for you, Knut?
Oh, well, we're hoping, we've heard rumors that they have a route from there to Tuatha. We've heard that might be where the money is, and so we go there to raid. A long journey. Maybe we won't come back. Maybe we will.
Much glory.
And he like smiles.
Beyond these woods, 4 days west, my Jarl's long haul is, though troubled at times it may be, we never forget the laws of hospitality. If you find yourself here again, I'm sure bright men such as yourself would be welcome.
Good. That sounds very nice. I appreciate the hospitality. And I, again, apologize for any sort of... We didn't mean to frighten anyone. Man, take that fucking dragon head down. He'll like shout over his shoulder at some of the men who like will like jump up from the cooking they're doing and like will move over to the ship and like begin taking in the beast's head. He'll like turn back and smile at you. And he'll spread his arms wide, sort of like a sorry.
I'll look to Crowscene to see if he thinks their like offerings and such are acceptable.
Yeah, I think he would think they're acceptable, but I think you could probably see a distaste on his mouth just for the way they're acting.
Yeah, I guess you would think this is like typical Gunlander sort of bullshittery.
Yeah, the lack of reference and various things, just the general attitude.
Yeah, the sort of switch from spirituality to like practicality. It's like a very Gunlander thing. Well, if you'd like to eat with us, we've just caught something we can share with you.
It would be rude to refuse you, Knut. My people can join us.
Of course, yes.
He'll like turn and like gesture with the branch. Up to you, Baron.
I think Baron would just send Thorin down.
Cool.
I don't think Baron would want to go down just in case. And Baron can easily go and look after himself in the woods while keeping an eye on proceedings if needs be. Yeah, so Thorin would be sent down.
Yeah, he'll like smile and like nod at that. Yes, I wouldn't bring her down here either if you didn't know the measure of us men. But I assure you, just a mistake.
She can nearly take care of herself. She's a shield maiden in training.
I would have told her to be quiet and not say anything about me being up here.
Yeah, for sure. He'll like look at her and say, "Oh, I can see that. He's got a strong arm."
Her father was Gunlander, but her mother, Ironeye, like myself, toiled. She was savage in the shield wall. I think this one will not be far off the mark. This is Knut. You'll call him Lord Thorin.
Lord? And Knut will like incline his head. Nice to meet you. Come, we have fresh meat. And he'll like turn and like urge you to join him and like go sit by the fire. And if you follow, like they'll sit and they'll cut off meat for you and like hand it to you. And Knut will like take off his helmet and like place it down. He's got this like very long, very luscious red hair and a red beard that he will like scratch at his head before like taking some of the boar and like eating and like chewing. So you're a man of Jarl Jarnőrr? Is that what you said? I don't mean to be rude. There's a lot of information, and he'll like pick some boar from between his teeth.
Jarl Jarnőrr of Brynholm.
Ah, I see. Brynholm. And where's the rest of you?
We are but a few number. Our village lately is stricken by sickness. So my lord could not send as many bondsmen to his frontiers as I'm sure he would have liked.
It is ever thus. Never enough men. He'll say, having never experienced that in his life, being from Gunland, and then he'll like sort of pick at his nose. And what is this sickness? What happened?
A shaking, bloody plague that affected mostly the small folk, and some of our beasts, such that they needed to be slaughtered. A hard thing at this time of year to do, but a Jarl must do what they must do. I'm sure you understand.
Of course, and he'll like reach up and grab at a Thor's amulet at the mention of like the sickness. The Jarl must do what he must do.
How many days till your repairs are finished?
Hopefully not many. He'll like turn to like look at one of the men, like a one-eyed man with tattoos on his forehead, and he'll like shrug and hold up 3 fingers. And Knut will nod. 3 days maybe.
Then I would pay well to warn you that there are Freyja's things in those woods beyond this cliff. Hard, dark place that belongs to the Vanir and older things. Just make sure none of your men go there to hunt. They could find more trouble than tail.
And he'll like it will be clear to you that they've already done it by his reaction, and he would like look at some of his men. Well, we did send some. We had to eat. We didn't. Hopefully, the reparations to Freyja will fix all of this. We won't go back.
You know, Gothi on board?
No, we don't make track with. And he'll like look at the Galder and like try and be respectful in a way for someone who like hates exactly everything that the Galder is. Those kind of people. It's a line of progress in Gunland, he'll say with a smile. And so you say your Jarl's men are sick? A great many of them?
Yeah, that should have passed by now. We, 3 unafflicted, as luck would have it.
3 is a lucky number.
He'll agree with that.
And your Jarl sends this little girl with you?
She's my ward. I promised her mother I'd train her in the way.
He nods at that and takes another bite of the boar.
She's fierce, a bit hard-headed at times, but above all, persistent. They've probably never been so generous with like praise like that for her.
Yeah.
Years.
She's probably beaming. Knut will like pick up a nearby stick and like sort of like pretend to fence at her, and she'll just like look at him and do that thing that like kids do, where that she like tries to stand behind you, and he'll like shrug and like thunk the stick into the sand, sticking up. Well, have you had your fill?
Oh, your gracious lord, I have, and I'll look to Thorin and Crowsing.
I see. 4 days hence, you said, to your Jarl's village?
That's right, across the dark woods. They'll beware of them and move with the gods in mind. But you cannot miss Brynholm if you keep to the west.
He nods slowly, almost sadly, and then he says, all right. He like looks at his men and does like a and a bunch of them like will stand. You'll stay here, Horst.
He'll just yell Thorin to the water and try and draw his sword on this guy.
Okay. So there's like a crew of 30 here about, but we can roll initiative.
Well, that escalated.
Yes, it did.
I got 16, but I don't know what Bevan's going to do in this situation. Yeah. We'll see.
What did you get? Sorry, Kevin?
16.
Okay, so yeah, he makes that comment that you will stay here, and then you can rise, Horst, and it's your turn.
I'll say, but you cannot hold us here. We've come under the birch branch and eaten with you.
No, we will cause you no harm, but you will remain here.
By what right and reason do you dare to attempt to hold us?
By the right and reason that there are 30 of us and 3 of you.
Yeah, that's when I'll say Thorin to the water and just like draw my sword and hack down into Knut's head.
Okay, go for it.
Oh, but I'm cursing myself.
By striking the first blow, yeah.
Oh, gosh. Just a Lloyd Collins special, hey? Oh, yeah, I'll spare her. I'll spare her for it and curse myself. It's 18 on the die, so 22 down into his head.
That will hit.
8 plus 13 slashing damage. I'll spend one of my warlord die on that to give the next person who attacks him advantage.
Nice. Okay.
And for movement, I'm going to move not away, like maybe away from this guy, but not from adjacent from him, and try and put myself in between like his bulk of men and him, and also Thorin, to try and like be some small obstacle in the wave of death, and just be like, go, go, and that's it for me. You'd probably hear that, Baron.
Yeah, Baron. I guess you're like squatting and watching, and you would see. I guess you would see like Knut spread his hands wide, sort of like apologetically, and then you would see Horst like stand up and strike down at him, and you'd hear him like bellowing for Thorin to go. It's your turn.
I'm just going to curse and say, "The fool! Like, what's he doing?" Although I might guess why he's done it, but at the same time, like, there's not much I can do if I get involved. So. Yeah, I'm going to draw my bow. I would go to shoot, but then think it would be reckless for me to do so. In my head, I'm thinking, if I get involved and I'm detected, then I'm involved in the fight, and I might be able to disengage somewhat. But that's not going to help the overall picture with the Earldom. So I'm going to just hold my action in case someone discovers me. But I doubt anyone's going to discover me, but that's what I'll do.
Okay, such a hard call. Okay, Knut is going to rise from the cut and draw his own sword in both hands, and he's going to try and make some attacks against you, my lord.
Low there.
First one is a 20 all up.
Yep, that hits. I get to use protection for that, though, which means checks, you get a free melee attack against that creature. Nice. You don't have to, so I guess if your religion precludes it, then sad face me. But I can use a reaction to give you that attack against him.
I think I'll certainly take it. Would it be feasible that Crossin had his spear with him, or would that be something that
I would definitely imagine you came armed. Yeah, I don't know if you'd put it brandishing, but like you can't sheath a spear, so yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah, I mean it must be lying somewhere. I can pick it up and stab out. It's going to be a 23 to hit.
Yes, sir.
Damage on his spear.
Actually, sorry. Now he has a sword. He can try and parry, so I'm going to try and do that.
Okay.
He can add a d6. He only adds a 2, which puts him at 22. You got 23?
Yes.
Okay, that's a hit.
Cool. So that will be 12 damage.
Nice. So 2 big strikes against Knut. You can see like one of them, your sword slash will like smash into his arm and like cut some of the links of the mail, and then the spear will like get him in the thigh through some of the thick mail there. But he'll like lash out with the hilt of his blade. He'll like grab the blade in one hand and the hilt in the other, and like smash the hilt into your face, Horst. And I need you to make me a strength save.
Yeah, my strength save is 20 all up.
Nice, okay.
What was the damage in total from that smash and cut?
So that's 9.
Oh, okay.
Oh. He like tries to knock you prone with that, and then he like grabs the sword in both hands and like does a draw cut across you. He's going to try and slice you in half. It's going to be a 17 on the die, so almost certainly a hit because it's got +7 to hit.
Ooh. Mail links are burst, flesh is pillaged.
Yes, indeedy. So it's going to be 14 slashing damage from that one.
Yeah, the first one grinds off my hip bone and cuts into the boiled leather there, but the second one stabs through my belly and makes a tent of the mail at the back, at my back, and like blood spills down over my beard. Bloodied but not slain yet.
Thorin like looks in horror, but like the imperative in your voice is enough that she will just start to run away from this. You said towards the coast, like to the sea?
To the water, I imagine,
Yeah.
like if we're on their boat or the cove, such that she can just like, I know she's a good swimmer and she's not wearing any armor or anything like that.
Yeah.
She's the apprentice, so I figured that she could like swim to shore or rush past them using disengage.
Yep.
But like the tone of my voice is like urgent. I don't want any heroics from her.
Yeah, I think she would sense that. Despite like, I think her like everything in her body is telling her to not run. God, I don't know. I think it would be so hard as a child like this to like run away from that.
I wonder if she'd just like draw a blade and like stab this guy in the back.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like 30 armed men like this, maybe she'd flee. It's your call. Yeah, I think you could. She'd go either way, right? Like,
I'm just gonna roll for it, I think. Okay, so you're like bellowing at her, and she like sees you get stabbed, and she like stands there for a second, like not sure what to do, and then she like runs up behind this guy and like pulls one of the knives out from his scabbard and stabs it into the side of his knee.
oh, bless her.
She'll hit him.
Meta, I'm gonna give her a warlord die on that.
What is that? A D8?
No. She has the advantage. Sorry, I'm not giving her. I already have given that die. She gets a advantage on the to hit.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, in case she crits. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of my warlord strike before, I do extra damage and give the next person advantage. So it was Thorin.
Fucking hell. Okay.
Fantastic.
She does 12 damage, and then she hits him in the knee, which I had said, and it's piercing. So a D20, please, from one of you.
Checks, you roll horribly, so you roll.
Oh, thank you, my lord. 11.
11, okay. Ooh.
Cuts off his testicles.
Oh, I wish. I hate this fucking guy. Oh my God, Thorin, you fucking monster. Okay, so he's like looking at you and he's not expecting any of this. And like as she like pulls the knife out and just like jabs it into his leg, she like finds like a parting in the mail and it goes deep into his thigh. It severs a nerve and he like twitches and he like drops to one knee because his like cannot control that leg. He has a numb leg and he needs to do a bunch of shit, otherwise it will become permanently useless. That's an 11. Fuck, man. Yeah, so Thorin like slams this knife into the side of the of Gunnar, or not Gunnar, Knut's leg, and he like falls down to one knee and like that's gonna be Thorin's turn. Thorin, oh my God, she's the best.
Oh, can I yell for a free action? Run through like blood, like
Yeah.
vomiting rifles. Run! On the Jarl! Trying to get her to flee now.
I think she will. That was her action. She will run. Well, then what's his name will definitely attack her.
Yeah, but he's on the ground, right? Like he's prone, so it's at disadvantage. Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Go, girl! Warn him! I command you!
So she's unarmored. I'd probably say that, like, generously, she'd have a 14 dex. So that'll put her at a 12 AC. So he will hit her. Let's see.
Did he do that well prone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, so you rolled a disadvantage. Okay. He only does 6 damage. It's like a grazing.
-3. -3. Maybe at the last minute my sword goes out and like slices up through my arm and into her. I'm like, ah!
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 damage. I'll happily take it.
It's definitely like a cut to the face that she'll remember for the rest of her days. She like runs away and she like gets to like a distance and like looks back over her shoulder once, and then you do like a go and she keeps running, and you can see Baron that she's running towards the sea, I think. and like leaps in and begins to swim away. Just like 10 Huskarls walk forward, bristling with like bright weapons and shining mail. Many of them don't have shields on, but they just like pick up like big axes and swords. Yeah, and they just are gonna unleash. Someone say 5 go to each of you. So that's a 21 to hit you, my lord. That's higher than that. That's a miss. That's a miss. And that's a crit. So that's 2 hits and a crit against you. I'll do those first. So 9 from the first, 8 from the second.
The second one is through like the side of the neck, and I just drop.
Oh god, yeah.
And then hacks down on the ground.
Yep, the last one, like a 2-handed axe blow, just puts an end to any sort of glorious resistance. Can you roll me a grit check to hold on to your weapon?
Oh, fuck. I've never wanted to succeed so much in my life. Okay, it's a 3 on the dice. No! It's 3 on the dice. And my grit is off the chain. My grit's a 4 at this level, so it's 7 all up. Yeah, so like maybe I reach out for it, and that's where the axe just hits me in the back of the head, and it all goes black for Thorst. For Horst.
God, yeah, the hand is just like reaching, but then like curls and relaxes before it grabs at the sword. 5 of them now are going to run at the Galder. That's a 14, which misses you. A definite hit. Definite hit. A fucking crit.
Oh, man.
And a miss. Jesus.
You're killing me here.
You roll enough dice. Okay, 4 for the first, 5 for the second, 9 for the crit, and it's going to be. It's not a terrible crit. It's only a 7. On the leg.
I'm also worried. Oh no, it's only. Never mind.
Okay, so you get like slashed at with an axe, and then another, and then a spear pierces into your calf and like cuts through some of the muscle. I need a dex save, please, from you.
Yes, a weak point. 10.
Okay, so you will fall down, and your movement is reduced by half for the duration of the battle as your boot starts to fill up with blood. And you will have a 5-foot movement penalty for the rest of your days, which might only be several minutes. So yeah.
Small mercies.
Yes. So you do live through that. Now it's your turn, Crocine.
Yeah, Crocine knows his days are numbered, but he's not going to go out without a fight. With the power of his runes and his faith, he's going to use his conduit.
Yes.
And that's a bonus action. So then he can cast a spell. Is that correct?
Yep.
Cool. I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Raidho.
Yeah, right though. It's kind of like an F.
Rifle. Yeah, I will be casting that as my main action.
Okay. What does it do?
It basically gives disadvantage on their attacks and me advantage on everything for 3 rounds, more or less.
Sick. The gods.
And the conjure will give me a +1 to hit.
Yep.
And well, there's saving throws involved as well.
Okay. So you like quickly, like probably like with blood, inscribe the Jarl on your skin, or the rune on your skin. As you see one of these others like approach. It's the one-eyed man who like had spoken about 3 days for the ship. He's got like an axe in one hand, and he like moves around to the side of you, going to try and bury it in the side of your head. But he misses. You like, oh, he's disadvantaged, right? So he double misses, I imagine, because he misses on that one. You like move with preternatural quickness with the rune of travel helping you. the gaunt man who had come and spoken. He like has a sayax in each hand, and he's going to try and mess you up. Also, he misses, and then the second attack. Oh, you avoid a crit.
Pass.
But he 14.
14 just misses.
Okay, wow. Okay, then the Bondi, who are the remaining 20 men, will like rush up and begin attacking. Now, I'm not going to roll 20 attacks, so I'm going to like actually let's have you make 5 deck saves. It's probably quicker than me doing 20 attacks.
What's the DC?
So because of your disadvantage, I'll say the DC is 12.
Okay, so pass, fail. Pass, fail. Hands on the last roll. Pass.
Okay, so then I will say it is 13 damage all up.
And I do believe that is him down, beaten into unconscious.
Ah, killer. I really wanted like one more go.
So did I.
But I think it like makes a lot of sense as well. Like, how could any man stand against that many? And so it's probably like you say, like beaten into unconsciousness, like a lot of like punches and like thrown axes and like elbows, and like eventually they bring you down and just like kick you on the ground. Baron, you like watch this. It's like brutal slaughter on the beach. And you can see that like Thorin has like splashed into the water and swimming away. The Gunlanders don't seem worried about that, and they also have no idea that you're there, it seems.
I'm dumbstruck at what's just gone down and horrified at my 2 companions being brutalized as it was. And like, but my attention's mostly on Thorin, knowing her age. It would not be good for her to be kept amongst a group of raiders. That could be a terrible fate. So I would just hold my position, not having much else to be able to do. How far away would I be?
I'd say at least 100 feet, if not more, like up a hill, like sort of up a sand dune, and then like into the woods, you know?
Yeah, I'd want to be like quite far away.
Yeah.
So I would try and watch her and see how far away she got, and then like I would still just hold my action really to in case anyone discovered me, but I doubt it. But yeah, that's all I can do at the moment.
Okay. So with that, basically, the 2 are like defeated. Like you would see the Gunlanders like go about their business. They would like look for the girl briefly, but like wouldn't give it too much thought. Most of them are wearing armor, and like one of them will spot her in the water, but no one's gonna like go swim after her. And it's not long before she like turns around behind the cliff, and they lose sight of her, and they don't really care about it. You'll see that they like are like not disrespectful to the bodies. That they'll like now at the end like put a weapon in each of their hands and like lay them on the beach. And then we'll like obviously have like a brief, quiet discussion. And it seems like their intent on going to the Jarldom. Like you see them like strapping on shields and like getting ready and whatnot. And you think that's probably their intent, which means they will pass you if you stay where you are.
So what I would look to try and do, as soon as they don't seem to be interested in Thorin and that she's disappeared around the cliff face, I'd want to start skulking my way around that side of the cliff face to see if I can retrieve her somehow or find her, keep an eye on her somehow.
Yep, I think that's pretty reasonable. Like with your skills, you can like follow the cliff and like there's a point where it's a little bit calmer. You can like throw down a rope to her and she can climb up, or you can pull her up, and then the 2 of you can like begin to make your escape.
Yeah, I actually wouldn't start heading straight back to the Jarldom. What I'd try and do is try and stalk them, knowing that I've got 4 days before they get there. Which way is it, our Jarldom? I know Horst told them west. Is that actually the direction, or is it north?
So it would be northwest. Like you would, I think you would have come south and then you would have gone east towards, so northwest.
Yeah, okay. So knowing that I've still got a few days, I know the terrain.
Yeah, you think that you could get like at least 2 full days ahead of them with the speed that you move through the woods, and like they don't know where they're going, so you think you could like easily outpace them here.
Yeah, so that's something that I would probably look to do. I might even head back to my safe place, and try and track back, leave Thorin there, and then try and double back, and try and, I said to Nico just in the chat, like, try and Rambo it a little bit, set up some traps, anything that I can do to slow them down, thin their numbers, without them kind of seeing me, basically.
That bear trap that I threw off the cliff, I really wish we'd kept that. I'd kept that now.
I did find one. Yeah. How many are traveling?
Of the Gunlanders?
Yeah.
Like 26 or 7.
So how many would be left behind then? 4 or 5?
Yeah.
Hmm.
You would note that they leave the captain behind. He's like badly injured, and you would see that he can't walk. Like he can't stand up from the, like he's kneeling and he can't stand up from it. It seems like Thorin did something bad to his leg.
Yeah.
But yeah, they would like make their preparations, and you could definitely like fight that sort of like rear guard action where you're trying to like hamper them all the way. And I think it'd be quite effective, but I don't think that you would stop 27 of them getting there.
Yeah.
But that's probably also a different adventure at this stage. I think like we could leave it there with like Beren like fighting this like heroic action to try and guerrilla war to try and stop them with Thorin as they like approach an unsuspecting and weakened Jarlum.
Well, once I got close enough to let Thorin go off on her own, then that's what I would do. I would let her try and
she goes warns the Jarl.
Yeah. But I wouldn't just let us do that straight away as like a 4-day trip on your own. I would certainly take her most of the way and then double back and try and slow them down as much as possible.
Okay, so that's where we'll leave it, with the traps being set and a guerrilla war being fought by Beren as he tries to like stop these Gunlanders as they approach a weakened and sickly Jarldom. That's where we're going to end it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, man. That was right.